You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent Austen Show.
Hey, it's almost summer break time for us. Hope everybody's having a good weekend into a weekend of some fun in the sun. Nice and hot out there in Jacksonville. And let's have a fun show today. Take it until 1 o'clock. We've got a lot of things lined up. Hear from Bill Sheridan. I thought he was an interesting listen. We didn't get to him yesterday. We're going to get to it today. Jaguars senior assistant, senior analyst, I guess you would call it. He doesn't even know what to call himself, which is kind of funny. And his role in the organization as kind of one of the older guys, coached with Tom Coughlin during the Super Bowl run as well. Matthew Driscoll scheduled to join us in just a short time, actually. Was talking to him a little bit yesterday because Chaz Lanier gets drafted to the Detroit Pistons and then not traded, at least as far as I know. Hopefully he didn't get traded since last night, but congrats to Chaz Lanier. I tell you what, the folks at UNF and people associated with Chaz and the Ospreys are really excited about this. Josh Baker over at UNF told me last night, he texted me, he said, it's been more than 30 years since a player from the A-Sun was drafted and played in the NBA. That's pretty wild. They've had a lot of good players over the years. Show you how difficult it is. And so I don't know where the fine line of transferring to Tennessee goes into this. I didn't really go too deep on that, but that just gives you an idea of how big of a deal it is regardless, right? Of Chaz Lanier going and UNF being a product of that and a big product of that. This wasn't just, hey, this wasn't really like even the Alex Lodis story who's going to get drafted in baseball this summer, who went to Florida State for the last couple of years. And he started at UNF. Now, this was a guy that was at UNF, and then he just finished at Tennessee. So pretty cool with Chaz Lanier, super young man, and congratulations to him and his family. Very nice folks, and people at UNF are excited. So we'll talk to Coach. We have this kind of neat, this is a neat story. Like maybe even sometimes you land on a story and you get told about it. You're like, hey, I think that'd be kind of cool. Let's do an interview or something. And maybe I should do more of this story. This is a neat story about a local baseball club, if you will, that started back in the early 90s and is headed to Dyersville, Iowa, and the Field of Dreams this fall. And they do it based on kind of fellowship, but also baseball and raising money for charities. And somehow along the way, folks like Nolan Ryan and Cal Ripken have helped them. And they're right out of Jacksonville. Now, people come from all around the country now because of their relationships. But we'll tell you a little bit more about that coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. Pretty interesting story behind that part of it. And they'll have a very nice fall. Last year they were, by the way, with the Savannah Bananas. I mean, some of the stops they've made, we'll tell you about them. It's pretty amazing. Makes you want to pick up the ball and bat and glove and, hey, let's go someday. You don't have to be good at baseball to play this league. That is from what I understand. And also, Jeff Bacon will join us today on the show from the A-Sun. He's the commissioner. He's joined us in the past, somewhat new commissioner of the A-Sun. He's made a massive change now. And we're going to have to get through some of the mud on this because it's kind of muddy. It's hard to tell exactly what's going on. But the facts of the matter are, the old WAC conference, that's blown up. So now it's going to be like the United Athletic Conference. And they are taking a handful of teams from the A-Sun. A-Sun, which had grown to 12 programs, they are now losing North Alabama, Austin Peay, Central Arkansas, West Georgia, and I knew I was going to miss one. Someone else in there. Did I say North Alabama? If I didn't, I did already. So Eastern Kentucky. I think I left out Eastern Kentucky. But either way, they're taking 5. That leaves the A-Sun with 7. But they're actually like a partnership conference, the way I understand it. Now, they'll still get automatic bids on their own to the NCAAs, so it's not a merger of conferences. There are still 2 different conferences, the WAC, the UAC now, and the A-Sun. But the folks with the A-Sun are going to run both conferences. And so, I mean, the WAC, as we were looking at it yesterday, they don't have anybody out west anymore. They're in Texas and now, in the central part of the United States. And we'll see how this goes. The way I look at it is it gives them a little bit of scale to partner on maybe sponsorship deals and maybe even negotiations when you get to TV rights or other things. That's kind of the way I look at it. But we'll ask Jeff Bacon about it because it's a bit confusing, but impacts Jacksonville University and University of North Florida. It'll go into effect next July. So that was an interesting bit of news coming out yesterday. A bit of complicated news with all this conference realignment and other things that have happened with the NCAA. But we will talk more about that coming up. And Austin will join us a little later on in the show, and we'll put a bow on things, including Daniel Griffith's article that features Brian Thomas Jr. So there you go. We got a lot. We got a lot going on. And because we have a lot going on, I got a feeling I'm going to forget to do this, but I'm going to do it right now. And then I'll probably, if I remember, I'll do it again later. We've been working on a series for the summer. Well, a couple of them, really. We had Welcome to Danville and Action Sports Jax Primetime. But we also have been working on a summer series that will debut in July called Storytellers of the 904. And this has just been a kind of a project I've had written on my phone for over a year when we started the network. And we recorded several of these. We're doing another one today. And so the first kind of set of episodes will be ready to roll on July 14th. As you can see, 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock. We'll put those out on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Simply find it at actionsportsjax.com. Also, you can find it on the Action News Jax app and Action News Jax Now. It won't play on social media, by the way, so you have to go there to find it. And then eventually we'll put it on demand and things like that. But here's like our list of folks that we have. Pedro Bregan Jr., Tony Baselli, and then we have Dan Hickens, Sam Kavaris, Gene Frenette. Who am I missing? We have Greg Coleman. Today we are taping an episode with Vito Stellino. We have Pete Prisco, and we have Dan Edwards, longtime PR guy. You know, in that list, we have several folks who are in the Hall of Fame. Baselli, Dan Edwards, Vito Stellino. Am I missing anybody else in the Hall of Fame right there? I think that's it.
Kind of, sort of, Kavaris.
Kavaris Hall of Fame vote, right? And Casey's been listening in and helping with some of these as well. And I don't know if you'll be entertained by them, but I think we were and have been, and I have been, and it's just been a fun deal. So this takes you 30 years over, or 30, 40 years in some respects, going back to the late 70s and early 80s with some of the folks that have told the stories that you have listened to for decades and decades. So that's a fun summer project that will debut July 14th. And we're actually just going to play those out like over a 2-week stretch. So it's not like one a week, but you'll be able to hear those conversations coming up in the middle of July on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. We're going through a bunch of them right now. We have Vito today, and Vito's now 84 years old. I think you take a guy like Casey, he doesn't know who Vito Stellino is my guess. And that's a little bit the kind of the motivation of this series. I think most of the names on that list people know, but I want to be able to say, hey, if Casey doesn't know who Vito Stellino is, well, Vito's a guy that covered like 7 Super Bowls Super Bowl wins for the teams that he was covering. Pittsburgh Steelers, or maybe 6, and Washington Redskins at the time. And the amount of things that man has covered, and then was a Hall of Famer by 1989 and still writing in like 2010. So like, he has seen a lot. And he was in Jacksonville for, I think, he still is, so for 25 plus years as part of that career. So we'll get into that part of it, but also shed some light on his previous career. That will be part of the storytelling. The Baselli one is interesting now, and I want to make sure we put this out here because people are like, oh, good, tell us what's going on as executive vice president. That really is not the idea behind the Tony Baselli 1-hour episode of Storytellers of the 904. It's more taking us through the different parts of his life in Jacksonville, which I know a lot of people do know. I mean, I'm not sure. You think there's another person that we know more about his time in Jacksonville than Tony Baselli from a long stretch? Like, I would think Baselli's probably not, right? I mean, even if you think of people who've been around, Wayne Weaver,
Brent Martineau.
Yeah, you don't know stuff about, well, even when we have maybe Kavaris on or Hick on, or maybe you do. Maybe you know those guys because you've been around them a lot. Or, do you know everything about Prisco or some of the background stuff? And so maybe the answer is a little bit more toward yes to some of them, especially their public figures. But Baselli, I just feel like, Okay, what do we not know about him?
Right.
And there was a stretch of, especially with all the Hall of Fame stuff, in the last 10 years, we've resurfaced a lot of the 1995 to 2000 stuff with Baselli and others. And I think we learned a little bit of some interim time periods that aren't talked about when it comes to Baselli on this show. So anyway, I just want to make sure we put that out there like a little disclaimer. This is not about the current state of the Jags when it comes to Tony Baselli. Stephen, yes, we are off next week. Actually off for like a couple weeks. So we definitely have programming, by the way, and I know a lot of you watch it on YouTube and everything else, but if you go to actionsportsjacks.com, we'll have some content. We always have content on the network, but yeah, we're getting away for a little bit. Austin's got a fight coming up as well, so that's kind of the motivation. 4th of July week, pretty quiet week, and then on top of that, Austin's got a fight. So I'm going to be out of town, and we'll reconvene right in time for football season as we ramp things up. Tell them about Storytellers of the 904, Casey Kurtz. You kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's quality work. I would recommend you watch it. I think you'll be interested. I was interested. Usually I'm not interested in Brent's crap that he tries to peddle you guys. But
yes,
this thing I was actually interested in. And I usually just sit here when they're being recorded and listen versus like playing a game on my phone. I usually just sit and watch. So, I would I'd recommend it at the highest order.
Yeah, it's well, I'm going to be really interested to see if people do enjoy them or not. Because again, some of these things, like you feel like, hey, I'm enjoying it, but I don't know if everybody else will, and we'll see if that's the case. But hey, you know what? The biggest part of this is I get to cross it off my phone.
There you go.
We did it, and I don't think it's going anywhere. One thing I do would like to do with this, because it's really wide-reaching, right? The idea, the name of the Storytellers of the 904 is it probably will leak outside the sports world at some point. But the thing that I also like about it is it's really never-ending. Like this could be the first season, or we just keep going with 5 million episodes, whatever, down the road. 5 million might be a lot. But there are a lot of people that in Jacksonville that you could have. I'm hoping people will send me, hey, who do you want to listen to? And who do we want to get on? Because we've already got a pretty big list. Casey found people on a list, and we did a little brainstorming on this. I didn't even know we're connected to Jacksonville. But again, it wouldn't necessarily be the sports
None
side.
of my people made it on the list.
What's that?
None of my people made it to the.
Well, yeah, because I don't know. I got to go dig them up.
I know. I'm just saying.
but there are some interesting ones on there that I have no idea about that I think this will morph into at some point. And I think you also got to be a little. What's my youngest guy on that list? Might be Baselli.
On the one that you did?
Yeah. That I just said Baselli?
Yeah.
He's like 52 or 53. Yeah. And I think he might be the youngest guy.
I would say so.
So you got to kind of be old at the start.
Some oldies in here, man.
Older, at least for now. Hey, Chaz Lanier, you're a UNF Osprey. You going to be getting a Chaz Lanier jersey?
Yeah, why not? Go Pistons, right? Pistons?
Go Pistons.
How about that?
Pistons a couple years ago, you're like, oh, gosh.
Yeah, it'd be like Walter Clayton go to the Jazz.
Yeah. But not now.
No, Pistons are kind of good.
Yeah, resurgence.
And like, we've talked about how valuable the second round is in the NBA draft, but like high second round, right? Not a mid second round, not a late second round, high second round, couple picks in. So might get an opportunity to play. And listen, he can shoot it. The Pistons do a lot of that. That's what they do. So the idea that he might be able to come in like a second win kind of guy off their bench and keep the shooting going, like I think he's got an opportunity to maybe play a little bit. So that's it's cool, man. It's good for him.
Yeah, it's really neat I wonder when I hear guys that are like, hey, they might be in the mix to get drafted. And we do this in the NFL, too. It's like, hey, it could be a second-round pick to a fourth-round pick. Baseball, right? Could be a first-round pick to a third-round pick or a top 50 guy. Like, we're getting that a lot with baseball. And I just in the back of my mind, I've seen this so much where guys get projected. And it's like, hey, Casey, you got a chance to be a first-round pick, we think, but could go anywhere from the first to the fourth. And then what starts going on is like, hey, could be a first-round pick, could be a first-round pick, could be a first-round pick, could be a first-round pick. And so you get stuck in your mind like, this dude's going to be a first-round pick. Well, what you missed is they said anywhere from the first to the fourth. And so my guess is what they told Chaz Lanier is, hey, probably anywhere from late first round to undrafted, right? But we get stuck on the second round. So I was a little concerned that, okay, are we really going to get Chaz Lanier drafted? Even though, Bobby Kennan told us last week, same thing, right? Late first, early second. He was right on the money. I saw mock drafts that had him to San Antonio at 38. He went 37 to Detroit. And then when Billis had his top 5 or 10 or whatever he was doing when people were getting drafted, I think Chaz at one time was like the third one on there last night. I was like, oh, he's going to go. I think that's probably in line with so it was really nice to see. It's refreshing when you hear that they might go in the first 40 picks, that they actually go in the first 40 picks. Because we're really rooting for it, for what we would call a hometown guy. Now, keep in mind, Chaz is from Tennessee, but we call him a hometown guy because he went to the University of North Florida. The guy that brought him to the University of North Florida is joining us right now. That's Matthew Driscoll, former UNF men's basketball coach, which sounds very weird to say. He's out in Manhattan, Kansas, now coaching with Kansas State. He's made the transition over there, and he's about as excited as can be for fine young man, Chaz Lanier. Man, you look good in purple, Coach.
Hey, thank you, brother. I got a high-definition face for radio. I got my Duncan with me, so don't worry about that. 3 cream, 6 Splendor. So, man, happiness, Kansas. Hey, listen, guys like Chaz, if you go back and do some of the history, guys like Chaz that are older, guys like Chaz that has a skill set like him, they normally go toward the lower first rounds and then the early second rounds if they have, that ability. And so I think that was pretty much the marker from the get-go. We thought last year he might go late second to Denver. They had like 45 up in that area to 50 if that chance was going to transpire for him. But then as things played out, you win the Jerry West Award and you make 123 threes. And so as all that stuff played out, and then his workouts were really, really good. However, when I was with him in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, he always was talking about the Pistons, the Pistons, the Pistons, the Pistons, the Pistons. And I know that he had some really good workouts with some other clubs as well, too. I'm not going to say what team it was, but on Tuesday and Wednesday, on Wednesday and Thursday, there was a team that was trying to get intel to see if they had to trade down to get him. And I was trying to explain to them, listen, I'm just letting you know, like, he's going to be late first, and here's what's going to happen early second. And so we knew about the Pistons. We knew what they felt for him. But also, too, if you listen to Tim Conley from the Minnesota Timberwolves last night, the GM, who's really, really good human being. His brother actually was our manager at Baylor at one point. He's the vice president of the Bulls right now with Billy Donovan. But Mr. Conley was talking about, Tim was talking about, there were about 20 players already kind of selected where they were going to go in the second round because they were already working different contractual deals because, the second round is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And so I feel very confident that Chaz is going to get that scenario. And really, Brent, you know me, I like to look at stuff and take stuff and find the greater good of it, right? So technically, the Detroit Pistons' first pick in the 2025 NBA draft was Chaz Lanier. So you could argue he was the first round pick because that was the first pick they had. So it's really, really cool the way the process kind of played out for him, and the way in which different teams. And the other thing too is, Brent, sometimes they say it's better, like Bo Beach. I'll give you a good example, but it's better not get drafted.
Yeah.
Because then you get to go with a team that kind of has something for your kind of skill set. And so I think these agents, and based on what Mr. Conley was saying, I think these agents did a really good job finding those niches, right? And then I'm going to tell you dots on the map, Brent. You know me, I love dots on the map. Well, who's the GM for the Detroit Pistons? Trajan Langdon, who was Bo's GM and interviewed Bo at the PIT and then brought him into Summer League when Bo was a sensation out in Vegas, ended up going to the vet and ended up being on the G League for the Nets. Trajan Langdon.
Wow.
And so pretty cool. But they liked him last year. Doug Ash is a really good friend of ours, and they liked him last year when they saw him and when he came to play. And so I think, I think that was a really, really good. I think there was probably 7 or 8 teams that were really, really serious about that late first round. And then obviously, Charlotte Hornets with both picks. There's a former coach from our league, Murray Bartow, great coach at ETSU, took them to multiple championships. He's with the Hornets, and he's like Driscoll. Like I think they had like 45, and if you saw, they actually traded up to get into the 30s, and so so some people didn't think that he was going to be around. That was a lot of. I heard that a lot, Brent. I don't think he's going to be around when we have our pick. I don't think he's going to be there.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. What makes him a good NBA guy, do you think? What part of, obviously he can shoot, right? But he's got an NBA body, and he kind of developed that at UNF, and then obviously it showcased itself in the SEC, the best conference in the country last year, and what he did at Tennessee. But what do you think, the way you watch the NBA, how well you know Chaz and his game, what will translate?
Yeah, I think the one thing that I'm fortunate, and like all of us, when you play 100 and some money games, you're playing against a lot of NBA guys.
Yeah.
And when you coach at Baylor at the time, we had 3 straight national players of the year, and at Clemson. And so when you've been around all that kind of talent, like positional size is a term you hear all the time. Like, he's solid 6'4". I know they might have grown to 6'5", and obviously he's got that skill set, but he's got the body, he's got the athleticism, and he's got the moxie. Like, he's got an incredible amount of toughness to him. And I think when you have a thick face and a black heart, which means you're able to take everything that's thrown at you and deflect it and keep what's good, and then have a black heart that's competitive enough. So that was a question that we got a lot, was what can he do for us if he's not making shots? And so what he can do for you is, number one, he's going to automatically space the floor. He's automatically going to space the floor because he can shoot. Whether he's making them or not, don't matter. You still got to guard him. And then number two, he's going to compete for rebounds. He's going to compete on the defensive end. And because of our system, remember, we had a really, really high level, simple but sophisticated, it was choreographed chaos at times. But because of that, he really understands reads. He really understands where people are, and he can play with both hands. And so that is another element that comes into play when he's on the floor and he's doing the things that he does. And then lastly, I would say this about Chaz, why he's such a great fit. And Dennis Lindsay is their senior vice president. He's a Baylor great and a longtime friend, and Doug Ash also too. Talking with them last night, like, they got an incredible human being. So, like, at the end of the day, like Doc Rivers says, like, there's only 1% that are LeBrons and Kevin Durant's and Steph Curry's and all those kind of people. The 99% are the ones that survive, because every time you come to work, you're taking food off somebody's table. Like, that's the way it is. And so if you don't come with that mindset and that understanding, and that's where Chaz's servant mentality, that's where Chaz's ability to get along, his esprit de corps, he just has a spirit about him that's just infectious. And because it's so infectious, that was part of the Pistons' reasoning for wanting to do what they did. And so he's got a lot of intangibles, which is what you want if you're not Cade Cunningham. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And so, and so, to his credit, he brought all that to the table, and you got to give his mom credit. You got to give his dad credit. You got to give his family. He's a family dude first. Like, he's all about people. He loves people. He comes every day. He smiles. He pours into you. Heck, one day he played Battleship till almost 10:30 at night because he didn't want to leave against the manager because he wanted to get a win. The new coach at North Florida, David Ackerman. I called him. I'm like, y'all cleaned up? And he's like, Coach, we're still here. I said, what are y'all doing? He said, Chaz ain't leaving until he beats me in Battleship. but my point is, he's just that kind of guy, and that kind of dude. And so he reports, I think, about July 5th, I think is what he said. And he'll get up her. But what's really cool about the whole process too, and you think about how this thing works and the way these things bounce around, like, here's a kid that went, got forced to go into the portal, and then he picked the right school. It was the right fit. But he didn't pick the right school because of sexiness or because of sexiness, meaning like, all the things around it. He didn't pick a school for that reason. He picked a school because it was going to be his best opportunity to continue to expound upon his game. Like it says in Matthew, don't bury your talents, expound them. He expounded upon his game. And therefore he knew I might not make as much as I was going to make at some of these other teams, but it's not about the money. It's about the opportunity to know that I'm building my resume. I'm building my future. I get the Jerry West Award, and next thing you know, I'm a late first, early second round pick.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Matthew Driscoll out in Manhattan, Kansas at his new gig at Kansas State.
Baby, man, happiness.
With us talking Chaz Lanier. Got drafted last night by the Detroit Pistons at number 37. And you can feel the pride and the excitement and the joy from everybody at UNF and social media or just talking to you, Coach, and texting a little bit last night. Carrie, your wife, was at the draft party. We saw a picture of her with Chaz earlier.
Yes.
I saw it. You sent us your grandson Baylor was watching the draft, and a great shot of him watching Chaz get drafted. How big of a deal, how emotional is this for you and your family, but everybody, the staff and everyone at the University of North Florida this morning?
Well, first of all, I'm glad you said that because I think it's really important. I got so many texts and so many phone calls from former players and former staff, and what everybody said was they felt like they got drafted. That's how close-knit our program has been for so long, because we pour in to these human beings so much and we try to help them become the best version of themselves, that it really, really, really it really is a family thing and a program thing. And I think the other thing too that you just said about that is, when you're around people like that, you just feel connected, whether you're a donor or whether you're a fan or whether you're a little child or whether you're an administrator. You just feel connected when people treat you the way you want to be treated. And I think that's really, really important to kind of what this means for the university and for the program, and that there are these opportunities. However, Brent, I know you have that evaluation from Chaz, and really it's twofold what we explained to him as a late junior.
Yeah, we're going to show this in a second as well. So what you're talking about, folks will be able to see.
What I'm trying to get to is, like, if you don't have confidence and belief in what you're trying to do, then you're never going to be able to do what you're going to try to do. So, like, I was going to get to the NBA. I was going to the NBA. There's no doubt I was going to the NBA. But at some point, reality became reality. And so when reality becomes reality, what do you do when you pivot? How do you pivot, and what in the way in which you pivot? But when you have a disciplined commitment to consistency, right? And now I get to be, a basketball coach and a college basketball coach, and had the opportunity to pour into Chaz in this particular case. And so, like, when we did that evaluation for him, like, all he needed was to continue to have that belief in himself. And that's what happened. And people just don't understand, when you have that belief in yourself, you can get through the most uncomfortable things in the world, because every day, 85% of your day is a grind and mundane. And I'm talking to all these people listening. It's a grind and mundane. Well, guess what? You got to do the grind and mundane because it's part of life. And so he really grasped that, and he just kept on, and then he believed in himself. And the very last sentence it says on there that was really important that we share with him was, if you actually do all these things, we're going to have an incredible story to tell. And look what it says: for many years to come. Incredibly in our heart. And we knew that this could become to fruition. It took him to bring the work, because the work brings profit. We all know that. So it's really important for our university. It's important for young people. It's just a great thing for people to understand that, man, you can do whatever you want to do at the level you want to do. You could be, a great golfer, like our friend Dr. could be a great violinist. There was a guy that was born 2 houses up from me that already played. I think he's 12 or 13. He's already played in the symphony, the Boston Symphony. Wow. He's a great pianist because he was born with great talent. So my point is, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do, listeners, just do it at a level that at the end of the day, you can put your head on your bed, you can put your head on your pillow, and you know you've done it to the utmost. And that's what we continue to pour into these kids. We don't live in a class that's half more. We just please and the university and everybody.
I think we're losing you a little bit, Coach.
How
many steps? How many steps you get in during this interview?
Well, yeah. I'm still down to 135, bro. By the way.
Yeah, you got to have more donuts instead of coffee.
Funny thing. So PJ Haggerty's with us. You know, he's already on the big board, and he was a great player last year at Memphis, and he plays for us. And so we were talking about Chaz last week, and we started talking about him. He goes, Coach, I'm not a fan, and I was kind of taken aback, and I'm like, what do you mean you're not a fan? He's like, he beat me out for the Jerry West Award. And what's crazy, I didn't even know he came in second. Like, I didn't even know he was a runner-up. But it was pretty funny. I'm like, I like Chaz, but then it made sense. Yeah, then it made sense.
Hey, one last one for you, and then we'll let you run. I know you got something coming up, and appreciate you taking a few minutes. Good to catch up with you, Matthew Driscoll, now at Kansas State, former UNF men's basketball coach. How is the acclimation going? You like it so far? You feel good, and you having a good time?
So, yes, because obviously you're pouring into young people. At the end of the day, Liam goes to Purdue. Josh and Josiah go to Indiana. Jalen, of course, got paid to go to East Tennessee State. Then the group that we have coming in behind us, who we really think is a really talented group that we signed at UNF. Like, you're pouring into all those kids. Well, it's the same thing here, except obviously there's a newness to it. And I'm a very routine guy. I'm a very OCD guy. And so I've just kind of found my groove. As far as like how I get my workout in the morning, it starts some days at 5, some days at 6. It just depends on what's happening. So yes, you know, Gary's not here, but I found my groove, and now I found the ability. I haven't been like I know how to get to Duncan from the office. I know how to get to my home we're renting from the office. I've been to Coach Tang's probably 15, 20 times. I don't even know how to get to his house. I still got to use GPS. And it's only a town. Happiness isn't a very big place, but my point is, like, kind of got this kind of down pat, but we've been so inundated with stuff, with recruiting and with donor meals and with workouts and all this stuff. I haven't had a chance to really go out and do much or see much. And so I got my laundry organized, and I can do that and get that done. And so it's just one thing, and it's 90 degrees, so we brought that great weather out here from Florida. So anyways, I love you. Thank you for having me. God bless Chaz, and we're grateful at the University of North Florida, and so thankful that our staff, who really poured into that university, was able to take over with Bobby and Bruce, and obviously Stephen in the forefront of it, and bringing David back and whoever else they hire. So God bless you, God, and thank you kindly. And I can't wait to come back, and we'll grab a meal sometime in August when I come back to move the family. But go Cats.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good to hear from you. That's Matthew Driscoll. Be well, and they've got a father-son event they're doing over there today in Manhattan at Kansas State. They're going to love that guy. They probably already do there at Kansas State. They're going to help out that staff in a big time. Well, it'll be fun to watch. I think kind of a secondary team to root for, right? What's kind of nice about that is it's not a rival of anybody around here. So you can root for Kansas State, go Wildcats. In fact, we used to, back in the day when I first got here, Arlington Country Day, I think there was a little bit of a pipeline from Arlington Country Day to Kansas State. Yeah, they would send...
pipeline is crazy.
No, there was. There was like Rex Morgan, former JU legend, late Rex Morgan, and Arlington Country Day doesn't exist, but that Javi Baez.
Yeah.
And that's a baseball. Yeah. But the basketball program was really good.
Huh.
And I forget the names. I can't remember the names. But it was like a big guy and a guard, like really, like 3 or 4, I think, went out to Kansas State, which obviously is how kind of it works, right? I mean, you get they had some really good players. They weren't playing in the FHSAA. They were kind of like IMG, Casey.
Mm. Oh yeah. You told
like
me this.
Before. Or maybe IMG was still around at that time, but kind of felt that way. And so you'd kind of flip on a game at Kansas State, like, hey, that dude is either from Jacksonville or played in Jacksonville or whatever it was. But the team that's like that now is Potter's House Christian. on both the women's and I think the men's side. Potter's House Christian sent some women's players, but most of them are not from Jacksonville. They come in and play and board or whatever else it is. So
I can't explain to you how Driscoll walked the whole facility.
He did. He walks the whole facility.
Like, because you couldn't see him right, but I'm watching
you're
him.
watching him.
My man started on the court, walked all the way around into, like, the stands, and then down some hallways, and then he's out front of where, like, you would walk into the building, and then is outside of the. I'm like, Coach, stop walking.
Yeah, actually, I'm assuming this is Weber that's jumping in here. If I say it right,
Lou
Dort, yep,
went to Arlington Country
he
Day?
did for a year. Yeah, so I forget when Arlington Country Day shut down. I don't think it was a pretty situation when it shut down, if I remember correctly.
So they had Lou Dort and Javi Baez,
so
World Series champion and
yeah.
NBA
Now
champion?
Baez, I got here in 2008. I think Baez was already out by then, or like maybe I just missed him, didn't even know about Arlington Country Day at the time. But when I got here, Arlington Country Day
way.
When would Baez have got drafted? You know?
No, wait, that's impossible.
You saying I'm early or late to the Baez here in Jacksonville?
Oh, you're way early. I got him in the minors in like 15.
Oh, really?
14, maybe, yeah.
Maybe we just didn't know and
Maybe
cover
we
it.
just didn't know.
You knew Arlington Country Day basketball, and I forget when Arlington Country Day shut down. Let's just say when he was drafted. He was drafted in 2011, right from Arlington Country Day. Yeah.
11, all right.
So, but I don't remember watching him play baseball, and I got here in 2008. So I guess we just never covered an Arlington Country Day baseball game. I heard about him after the fact. The one, obviously, we're down Creekside area. Creekside's a graveyard for home runs, and up until they cut down trees to build more houses and really what's over the Stillwater Golf Course, the kind of the airflow started to change and more homers are now happen at Creekside. But I think like 4 years ago, maybe when Ty was a freshman, the story was there had only been in the history of the school. Now, history of the school, meaning that opened in like 07 or 08, there had only been 10 home runs hit at Creekside in like a decade period. And Baez had 2 of them in one game.
That's awesome.
So that was kind of the story. Yeah, you think about all the good players, right, that probably played at Creekside or against Creekside. Yeah. And only 10 home runs. That's how much of a graveyard that place kind of still is, but not for Javi Baez. And I'm kind of disappointed now.
Way to go, Brent.
Yeah, that I didn't see Baez, but I thought I missed him. But Arlington Country Day basketball at that time, again, was a bigger deal, in part because Rex Morgan was the coach, Morgan, a JU legend. So that amplified it a little bit. But yeah, I guess I missed
So this is crazy.
Javi playing.
Lou Dort from Canada. First year of high school was in Quebec, then transferred to Arlington Country Day.
Wow.
Here in Jacksonville. And then ended up in Conrad Academy in Orlando in junior year. So, bro went Quebec, Jacksonville, Orlando.
Wow.
In high school.
Wow. And so he was, I'm looking at that a little bit too. So when he was, I bet that when he went to ACD, like I think it went defunct. So he had to go somewhere else.
Oh.
Like I'm not sure what year, I could look it up, but Arlington Country Day, it shut down at some point. But it says he came to Arlington Country Day, this is what his Wikipedia says, to face better competition and learn English.
And
then
French, yeah.
And then he went. He actually went to the Orlando Academy. It says to improve his poor academic performance.
Oh,
and that might say a little something about what was going on at Arlington Country Day.
That's fair. That's a good point.
But he actually, the ACD one says he followed his coach from ACD, Sean Wiseman, over to Orlando. So, yeah, I forget the timetable. Boy, I did not think I felt ACD closed down at like in 12 or 13, but it was obviously open for longer than that.
January 26, 2018.
Oh, so right about that time. Yeah, right about that time.
Yo, this is great.
Oh yeah, no, it was like a scandalous shutdown, wasn't it?
According to Wikipedia, on January 26, 2018, the school closed its doors without warning and informed parents Saturday, January 27th that it shut down.
Wow, like second semester.
Kids showed up to school on Friday. They're like, the doors are locked, Mom. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I don't know the whole story because I forget it from back then.
Yeah.
But the showed up to school part might have been optional anyway. like, at least for some of these guys, that might have been part of the problem.
Yeah.
At the time.
Now, there's a long list of dudes that,
Oh yeah, man.
like even on this Wikipedia, like not the biggest names to ever play sport, but like Javi Baez is obviously a big one. Lou Dort, now an NBA champion. Justin Jackson's on here. He played all over the place basketball wise. And there's Brian Navarreto's on here. There's a bunch of names. So
Give me a couple more basketball. Does it say a couple more basketball names? I just want to see if one comes to mind. There was a guard. Man, I can picture him. He wore 32.
how about Gary Brown?
No.
John Brown.
It begins with an M, I want to say, but maybe not.
Nate Mason?
Nah, that was a good try, though. Does
Terrell
begin with
Miller?
an M. Nah, not coming to mind. But there's a pretty long list, though, huh?
Ty Gadsden, yeah.
There's a big 7-footer, I want to say, or 6'10" guy.
Nikola Jonovic. When did you get here?
I got here in 08.
Okay. Wally Judge?
Wally-
Rodney McGruger?
Magruder.
Yeah.
Magruder or Magruger? Magruder?
Magruder, yeah.
Yeah, Magruder.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the one I remember.
Played for
you-
the Heat, Clippers, Pistons.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think at Kansas State first. I don't know if it says that.
Yes, sir.
But I'm pretty sure. So that was one of the
9
guys.
to 13.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. That was right about
Look at you.
right when I got here. So
Good
that's
memory.
when I didn't know what the hell ACD was, and I was like, oh, like, where's Magruder from? Does it say? Like, he's not a Jacksonville guy.
Landover, Maryland.
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, hey, good, we cover local guys. Well, he's not really a local guy. That's the funny part about that school, right? And Bowles had a little bit of this, right, with Chipper.
Mm-hmm.
But ACD really had that. I mean, it was IMG.
Yeah.
It's essentially
Yeah,
IMG.
definitely, yeah.
International stuff and everything else. So pretty wild. All right, let's take a break. Good to have Matthew Driscoll on. Congrats again to Chaz Lanier. Just a really neat story. And do you know, I watched a show last
Look at
night.
Chaz.
I watched a local sportscast last night that did not have Chaz Lanier in it.
Let me bring you back on cam. Can you name them?
No.
Let's
there's
deduct
process of
reasoning.
elimination.
Real quick. Okay, so it
I
wasn't
don't
y'all.
watch a lot of the sports anymore. Like, I don't flip it on, but I did. I was like, I wonder
Did
what
you
they did with
anchor
this.
last night?
I anchored last night.
Okay, so it wasn't you.
It wasn't me. I had it.
All right, so
I had
we'll
those
take
pictures.
them out. All right, so that leaves 2. I have my pick. Should I say it?
Well, sure.
Was it First Coast?
It was.
Damn!
I couldn't believe they
Get it
didn't
together!
Well, but here's my thought process on it, because I have no idea what
Did
they're
you check the other one as well?
I didn't. I just happened to have it. It was on from whatever was
So
on.
really, it could be 0 for 2 is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I would hope not. I mean, because the thing about, like, Barney's going to cover the local stuff,
Yeah,
I would think. Now, and I would hope everybody would in town. But I'm going to give a little bit of a pass here in this sense.
I'm not.
That I don't know their business and their situation, and who knows if they, like, maybe they're shorthanded. I think they had one person leave. Could be shorthanded. Maybe are recording sportscasts instead of doing it live. But they did have Walter Clayton in it.
Oh.
But they also had what we would call in the business of Vosad on the U.S. men's national team playing a match on Sunday instead of Chaz Lanier in the show. So I was like, what are we doing?
Who was the sound?
I don't even know. I'd have no idea. You'd have to ask Weber. We have enough soccer in our show, quite frankly.
That's a wild world we're living in.
Well, hey, Avery Patterson scored a goal for the U.S. women's national team. You see that?
I did, actually.
Out of Bowles?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
How about that?
See? We'll show this up. But,
Wow.
yeah, it's just, again, they might be in recording mode, time of year, vacation, stuff. Like,
No excuse.
yeah.
No excuse.
I
Don't
did-
give him a pass, Brent.
But here's my point.
I think
my,
we should hammer him.
Yeah, it's not worth hammering him.
Oh!
It's
You're
it's-
not worth our time.
It isn't that, but it goes. I almost did tweet it. So I'm saying it instead.
I like this.
That I've long said I'm going to write a book, and I really won't because I don't want to write a book. But I've long said I would write a book called "Sports Directors Killed the Local Sports."
Well, that's you.
Yeah. Well, it's not. I hope it's not me.
But you're a sports director.
Well, I know, but in
Guilty by
general,
association.
yeah, sports directors killed local sports, and like last night's would have been an example of it. Like if we're not talking about the guy that went to UNF, got drafted in the NBA
What are we talking about?
on a late June day, but we're talking about like U.S. men's national team.
That's crazy work right there. That has nothing to do with Jacksonville.
Now, maybe So like Weber's going to tell me that the U.S. men's national team has some local guy that I don't know about.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, I don't think they do either, but maybe he's going to tell me there's a local angle. I don't know.
That would have came up before now.
I would think so, too. All right, that's enough of me hammering other.
Ha! Get it together over there.
Hey, this really feeds well into storytellers of the 904 because we got some story. Like, we are discussing the landscape of other stations. Like, it used to be taboo to mention a name of a First Coast News or Channel 4 or 1010 or not really the Times Union. The paper you could always. It didn't feel like you're like fully competing with the paper. Totally different medium.
They don't run commercials like.
I just can't believe how much we openly talk about it now. It's kind of weird. Like we got Kavaris on the Storytellers 904, and it's kind of an odd deal in a sense because first of all we used to compete. Now he's been gone from there for 6-7 years, but it's even a little strange just the concept of having him in the building.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be a tough watch for the Storytellers for First Coast. Going to be a tough watch.
Yeah, maybe.
I would recommend you guys tune in over there. Maybe run the right sportscast at night, but it's going to be a tough watch for y'all over there. But I'd recommend you do it. And by the way, I'd recommend you get Chaz in on your weekend sports shows because good for that guy. Man.
Chaz has the right hat on.
Yeah, he does.
Man,
and he looks a lot happier than Walt. Remember Walt?
Yeah, he looks good, man. He looks good. Good for you, Chaz Lanier. We'll be right back. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade.
The Fleet continues its summer swing with the Jacksonville Armada men's and women's teams finding success on the pitch so far in 2025. The girls in blue find themselves in the thick of a three-way battle for the Sunshine Conference crown with an undefeated mark at home. They wrap up the schedule with a pair of Friday night showdowns. As for the boys in blue, they remain unbeaten this summer and top the table in their conference, with crucial road games still to come down the stretch against Naples and New Orleans, after a final home game versus FC Florida. All those matches are at Edward Waters University, and you can watch them live on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the note for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, you can get a free Connecticut reverse osmosis system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier Softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Choose your own adventure. It's not just a saying, but a way of life here at Cycles of Jacksonville. And whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels, at Cycles of Jacksonville, a great adventure awaits. With brands like Honda, Vespa, Segway, and Triumph, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with their inventory featuring a 60,000 square foot building. If 4 wheels is more your thing, check out the largest selection of Honda Talons in the entire county. No matter what you're looking for, Cycles of Jacksonville is going to have the selection you need, all with great financing and rebates. Plus, if you're active duty military, Cycles of Jacksonville will offer you 0% financing along with great discounts for military and first responders. And when you want to get off the road and set sail, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with everything you need to get on the water. So if you're ready for a great adventure, let Cycles of Jacksonville be your guide. Located off Atlantic Boulevard, or check out their website at cyclesofjacksonville.com.
It's fast-paced,
Hands off on first down, and there goes Edward Vander.
high-fly,
Wide open receiver. It's caught.
action-packed, weekend fun. Fun for the entire family. It's the Jacksonville Sharks. I feel like anybody could play in this league. It's gotta be like backyard football, right?
Whoa! This ain't the Arena League, Brent! This is the indoor league, and they play defense here.
It's a lot safer to just watch the professionals play. And watching is a lot of fun. A party in the stands at the arena for kids and adults. And it's indoors. Get out of the heat for the summer and watch the Sharks shine inside. Jacksonville Sharks football, season number 15. It's the Drive for 5, and it's still alive. Get your tickets at jacksharks.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
On July 9th. I was wondering if I was on or not, or somewhat on. So welcome back. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. Armada tonight, 7 o'clock, and that's the women's side. Men won last night, so we were talking a little bit of soccer, and they clinched a spot. July 9th will be the playoff game that they'll host. And so we got playoff soccer, we've got playoff baseball. Things are good so far this summer. Hopefully we get a little playoff football as well. That would be nice. And I want to bring you this interview that we got from the assistant coaches gathering. And one of the assistant coaches for the Jacksonville Jaguars is Bill Sheridan. Why can't I find his official title? Where'd he go? Did they not name him? Huh, how about that? The favorite part about this interview, I don't know if we're going to play all of it because it was a longer interview, but it's like, what do you think your title is? It's kind of like, well, I'm trying to figure that out. But he's a senior defensive assistant is what he is called by title for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This guy's been around, and for a young staff, to get a little bit of experience in there. And again, I said this yesterday or last couple of days, the Jags do have some experience on the defensive side of the ball. Like, they're not a bunch of young guys. I think there's this young perception because of Gladstone in the front office, new executive vice president, 39-year-old Liam Cohen, who looks like a young guy. And then obviously you've got people like Udinsky and Spencer Whipple on the staff on the offensive side, very young. By age to be in the positions that they are in. But that's not the case on the defensive side as much, even though you have Anthony Campanelli, who's a first-time defensive coordinator. Bill Sheridan is here to help. The Jags have had these guys in the past. Bob Sutton comes to mind, and Sutton was like a turnover machine anywhere he had been, and guess what? The Jags were pretty good at turnovers in the couple of seasons he was with Jacksonville. How will Bill Sheridan help? What does he think about this new regime? What's he think about the Jacksonville Jaguars? He answered some of those questions recently.
I hadn't been in the NFL since I was in Detroit with Jim Caldwell, and last couple of years I did the spring leagues, XFL, and then it became the UFL, And so when the new staff got put together here, I had worked with Anthony Campanelli, and that was my in. He reached out and asked if I'd be interested in something like this, and of course I was, yes. But the one thing I will say in the short time I've been back here, I hope this doesn't sound trite, but his football IQ has skyrocketed since he was in Boston College. And when he was at Boston College, he was excellent. He was our DC. Then he went to Michigan, and I actually followed him as the DC at Boston College. But, he's had a chance to work with some of the best defensive coaches in our league. Brian Flores and Vic and even Jeff Hafley. These are excellent football coaches. And the one thing he has done is, and not surprising, is he has taken a ton of stuff in. He's got a very high IQ. Period. Anthony would do well at anything, but he has taken all that time around those coaches, those seasons, and his football acumen has just skyrocketed. And like I said, even in the short time I've been back here, I was like, this guy's got it all together, So it's exciting.
What's your take on Travis Hunter and what he's trying to do?
It's interesting, at first, again, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but at first, even the idea of playing a guy both ways, like, that's ambitious, And then when he first came on here, when he first got started, he's doing primarily offense. And so the idea of that, in the back of everybody's mind, like, yeah, he's going to play defense too, He just hadn't come around. And when I say that, like the first couple of days, not the first week. But, we've kind of worked a schedule out where, like, these days he's coming with us and he goes to our meetings in the afternoon and, and it'll be massaged that way. But he's a super genetically talented guy. He's athletic, right? Probably be a very good basketball player and great track athlete, and he's shown that here, both offensively and his ball catching skills, and even the little bit of time he's been on. I'd say he spent more time on offense than he has defense, but in the time he's been on defense, it's not hard for him, and that's a sign of a good player, and so. He has good football IQ. He can learn and digest like nothing because he did it in Colorado. He played both. So he's familiar with how to play defensive coverages and different techniques, and he certainly knows what kind of offensive concepts that are being presented to him. And so the little bit of time we have had him on defense, he's been wonderful. He just looks like he was born to play on either side of the ball, and that's why he got drafted in the position he did in the national draft. But so he's done a good job, and we just haven't had him have probably as much as the offense has, and I'm not sure how that'll look in the fall, but he made an unbelievable one-handed interception the other day in practice, and we haven't had anybody do anything like that since I've been here. But and he's a great kid too, very, very mature disposition. And so, same thing. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, you did. Are these guys? This group is a young staff overall. Now, you guys have some veteran presence on defense, but is this coaching staff, this group, keeping you young?
It is. And some of the guys I knew, like I work with Tim Lukabu and obviously Anthony. Other guys I haven't worked with, but I will say this. Again, and this is from 8 weeks or whatever being here, is, I think Liam and Anthony did a really good job, maybe with the exception of the senior defensive assistant, but they've done a great job of hiring not only like quality coaches, but like quality people, Matt Edwards and Derek LeBlanc and Kevin Wilkins and Ron Milas and, Anthony Purvis. I mean, these are quality humans, They kept on Mario from the previous staff and, Drew Lascari, the guy from Rutgers that had a relationship with Anthony Kane. So super good guys, very conscientious, very good teachers. I share this with you because I talk to the players all the time. And the staff has done a great job of coming across to the players in the probably been a month or 5 weeks already, and all the feedback from the players is like good. You know what I mean? No beef. Feel the staff is very conscientious, very personal, demanding, and bunch of attention to detail, but no beef about anything. Players, if you're a real player, you want to be coached. And so the feedback from the players, and it's all very informal feedback, right? It's fantastic for the staff. And so, yeah, I think Liam did a great job. And, even in my hiring, it was kind of interesting. Like Liam talked to a handful of people that I had worked with that he knows, and when he did that, he felt all right about bringing me on, you know what I mean? And I'm sure he did that with everybody else. So, yeah, these guys keep me young, but, these guys, they've coached too. They might not be as old as I am, but they've been around and coached in the NFL, and I think it's a really good staff.
You find Coughlin for some breakfast or what?
It's funny you say that. He came out, I saw him at Tony's golf fundraising thing. And so I saw Tom there, and I just reached out to him just recently because we're getting ready to wrap it up, And I tried to get together with him last weekend, but he said he was out of town, and he'd get back. And I said, well, text me when you get back in town. So anyway, he just texted me yesterday and said, hey, I know you guys are wrapping it up. He said, I come by in July and for fall camp, and he says we'll definitely hook up, So, but yeah, I've stayed in touch with Tom since the day I left there, and there's nobody in the business that I have more respect for than Tom Coughlin and all that he has done and what he did for me. He gave me my first NFL job at the Giants, and but yeah, I did try to get together with him, but he was out of town last week, and then he said we'll hook up when we come back in July.
Well, that's Bill Sheridan. What a lengthy and long career, and pretty cool career for Bill Sheridan. Included the Super Bowl as linebackers coach, I believe it was, for Tom Coughlin with the New York Giants, and so they go way back. And I think it's a fun ad for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought there was one thing there were several things pretty interesting. What he talked about Travis Hunter. I think this is a guy that's been around the game for a long time, and I think it's so unique that even he probably has to get his head around it, right? It's just not common. And so for a guy who's like, yeah, it almost felt like, well, I know he can do it, but I got to see him do it. Like, that's kind of what I came across to me. And then the other thing I thought was interesting is when he said, hey, I can tell you this, like the last couple of months we've been around here, and I haven't had a player say boo about the coaching staff. Like, they love them. They like them. And it's not necessarily that part of it. It's what that insinuates to me, that a lot of times in the NFL, you got guys complaining about the coaching staff. At least from what Sheridan's saying there, that's what it insinuates. And, by the way, it also would add up to what was going on pretty early last season around this time. That from Ryan Nielsen to maybe even some other parts of what was going on in Jacksonville internally, there were already rumblings from the players. And we know that. And so I think, what does that mean in the long run? Probably not much. I just thought it was an interesting observation from Sheridan, who he would say he basically talks to a different player or two each day, like kind of one-on-one, and could be like a liaison to them and help them out, what they need and everything else. So like he's asking them probably questions like how you feel about your position coach and your staff and all positive reviews. So that's a good thing. I think they're at a better jumping off point this time of year with this regime and staff than where we were in Jacksonville inside that building last year. And I think that's pretty obvious from the bulky part of it to maybe the Peterson part of it, but to the Ryan Nielsen part of it. I think the Jags feel like years ahead of where they were this time last year. Now, on the field, as a team, we don't know. We'll find out soon enough when they come back in a few weeks. Let's take a break. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. We'll get to the ASUN commission at the bottom of the hour. Coming up next, though, I think you're going to like this story. This is pretty neat about a local baseball group, if you will, that started in this idea down at Dodgertown in Vero Beach. And one man in particular who started it will finish it off in Dyersville, Iowa at the Field of Dreams, even though the whole thing isn't going anywhere. That story when we come back on a Friday edition of the Brent Austen Show on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Save 10% off any water heater, plus no trip charge. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
If you look good, you feel good. And the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
Welcome inside the Armor Guard exterior and gutter helmet showroom. There's a lot going on, like glass exteriors, replacement windows, and down there we have the retractable screens and awnings, plus hurricane protection. Let's talk more about those gutters, and to do that we bring in Kevin. He's the owner, he's the expert. Why Gutter Helmet?
Well, Gutter Helmet is truly the only maintenance-free product. It lets the trash and debris go on the ground, the water wraps around and goes inside. Unlike filters, they sit on top of the gutters, and the trash and debris build up on top of filters, which requires maintenance. With Gutter Helmet, we're going to keep you off the ladder, the most dangerous thing in your garage. With Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. So get off the ladder and put on the helmet. Gutter Helmet.
Get a free estimate at gutterhelmetofnorthflorida.com. You can also call 904-762-7779 or visit the showroom on St. John's Bluff Road in Jacksonville.
back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Let's talk more about the No Bats Baseball Club, founded in 1991 by this guy, where I got to get that shirt that he has. How long have you had that shirt?
A couple years now. Dust it out every holiday season, but it's great to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Chairman Ted Simendinger, they call you Theo.
Yep.
You said I can call you whatever I want.
Absolutely.
Well, most of them call you Theo, I assume.
Yeah, Theo's fine.
All right. Well, you started this thing way back, and here we are, and we're going to talk about you're going to Field of Dreams with this club, which is number 35.
Yeah, 35th year. I started it as a one-time thing back in 1991 because I missed playing ball with my friends. And so I rented out Dodger Town in Vero Beach for the weekend and called a couple guys. They called a couple guys, and they called a couple guys, and pretty soon we had 4 teams, and we started something. They had a great time. The first run in club history was scored by a mailman from Boston, face first, when he tripped coming around third and staggered his way home. And he got up and he was happy. And that told me we might be onto something. But 35 years later, we're going to the movie site, Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner and the cornfield in Dyersville, Iowa.
That's unbelievable. I mean, think about this now. What you just said, it's basically like, hey, boys, let's go play a pickup baseball game. But we're not going to go to the backyard or the ball field down the road. We're going to Vero Beach, which at the time in the early 90s is a great spot.
Oh, it was brilliant.
Was that expensive to do that? Like, how did you guys pull that off?
Well, it was off season for them. Harrison Conference Services ran it for the operations for the Dodgers, right? And it was a downtime. And fantasy baseball didn't really exist at that time with the major league players and stuff. So it was a dead weekend for them. So we were net revenue to them. So we just, I worked together with them, and I rented the rooms for 3 nights and 3 square meals a day and access to home and stadium. And at that time, it was pristine because the Dodgers were still using it.
Yeah.
And it was a magic time. It was a wonderful experience. We were there for 3 years and then went to Cooperstown, back to Vero for 1 more year, and then we hit the road for good in the 5th year because I thought we had to get on the road. We had to go see the country and do things.
Yeah. By the way, you're right. Dodger Town's a big deal back then. I mean, it still is cool to go down to Dodger Town and see all the history there. But you said it. I have a couple cheat sheets here of where you guys have gone. From Dodgertown to Cooperstown, back to Dodgertown, then to Arizona, Alabama, Texas, North Carolina in the first decade or so. You've played in the Bahamas and now ended up at Field of Dreams. And by the way, you've played at where the White Sox play, whatever the heck the name of their stadium is these days. I mean, that's
guaranteed rate field.
You must be a heck of a negotiator.
Well, we got a track record now, which is great. $2.35 million for charity opens a few doors. Back in the early days, it was sort of hard to talk my way into places, but we're good people doing good things, and we've made a lot of friends along the way, and we've had a lot of support from some of the biggest stars in the game and some of the clubs too. So it's been great. It's really been a lot of fun.
How did people start hearing about it? Like, I mean, you just tell the story, and then as you're calling up these places, say, hey, here's what we're all about. I know this sounds a little different, but then how did?
That's a great question. In the early years, it was hard to get anybody to listen to me because everybody wanted to know what you wanted. What do you want?
Yeah, what do you want?
What's your game? What's your angle? Because everybody would reach out to these people wanting something. And I've always said we're the ideal guest because we show up in your town, we rent your hotel rooms, we eat in your restaurants, we give a charity a great big bag of money, and we leave. I mean, we're the ideal tourists. But once we did that a few times, we sort of validated that what we said is actually what we did. And then I got a huge break, and that was when Nolan Ryan decided to support us. And Nolan's been tremendous to me and to us through the years. And
so why did he find it? Why did he get friendly? How did that relationship get born?
I showed up at his charity office in Alvin, Texas, which is about 35 miles south of Houston. It's where he grew up. And I said, I want to try to raise some money for your foundation. And I started the dialogue. And that's how, all these years later, we're friends, and I appreciate that.
So how do you, $2.35 million over these 35 years for charity, like you said, I mean, hey, baseball, good backdrop, good time, kind of become a fraternity for a lot of, well, hey, boys, let's get together and play ball type of thing, and that's really grown for people you don't even know. Now you get to know. But how do you make the dollars? Like, where do the dollars come from?
We panhandle. Everybody panhandles, right? And so you get $100 from this guy, $100 from that guy. That guy's doing pretty good. Give me 500. And so we try to set up an environment where the guys know that participation, really, our ability to do all this stuff is because we're important in the lives of other people. And the best way to do that is support a 501c3. So we only support 501c3s. We do not set ourselves up that way because I didn't want to be an organization like that. I wanted to support them because I wanted the charities to get all the names and the donor names and donor addresses and all that. All I wanted to do with my guys was make sure they understood that there's a lot of needy people out there and it's up to us to help them out. And so we have never kept a dime. We've turned over every penny of it, but we are a collecting agent on behalf of a different 501c3 that we select each year.
Yeah, and by the way, there's another long list. Look at all the different charity beneficiaries over the years, from the Bahamas to the States to other around the country, of course. And is there a story that sticks out now that you get intimate with, like, hey, we made a difference here?
Oh, we've made a lot. We've helped thousands of people. I mean, just a couple quick ones. Some of the big league stars who have lent a hand to help us over the years, they all have different passions. Randy Johnson, who I thought was one of the most misunderstood superstars of all time, RJ's big thing was homelessness. Cal Ripken's adult literacy. We had the Baltimore Orioles. We got them to send a whole bunch of stuff to Bimini and the Bahamas, so all the kids on the island could play ball, boys and girls. And so wherever we've gone, we try to pinpoint a deserving charity that's going to lift the lives of the folks up, and we've had a lot of support. And like you said, an extraordinary list of beneficiaries.
Yeah, really neat. And obviously run into some pretty cool people along the way.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when you do good deeds from a pure point in your heart, right? Yeah. Thank you.
And then, well, not only that, but also the people that are playing. I mean, you must, all different walks of life. It's not like you grew up with all these guys that are now playing.
You wouldn't believe it, right? I got guys that have made fortunes, lost fortunes. I got a guy, working on aisle 4 of Home Depot, and he's playing catch with a guy who, millionaire. But anytime you're together, you become a brotherhood over time. We've been through everything together. Nobody's ever alone because, we buried 15 of our guys over the years, which kills me. But nobody's ever alone in this club, and so I always say the power of us is us. And I mean that sincerely, and the guys get it. So everybody that's involved with it, they all sign up for the same thing. Nobody's allowed to be alone in this club.
This feels like a little bit of fraternity / guys golf trip.
I like to think we're a little up above that, But no, I mean that from a kind arrogance. It's a kind arrogance, right? Because baseball's a team game that's played by individuals.
Yeah.
And the ball will find you, and you'll have a chance to be a hero and a chance to be a GOAT. But what you miss when you quit playing, you miss the guys you played with. You miss what you talked about in the dugout or after the game or before. You miss all that. And so that's what creates a synergy. My whole thing when I started the club, my one big rule was we have to be positive in the lives of others. So there's no stinking thinking, no cheap shots, none of that stuff. We're all here for the same reason, doing the right thing. And when you create that kind of environment, people will rally to it, and they will protect it. And I'm really proud of my guys for all they've done throughout the years to do that.
4 rules: no wives, no kids, no drugs, no arguing.
Yeah.
Those have you can have that last 35 years. Those 4 rules.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a getaway weekend, right? We all, I started this as in my mid-30s, right? And so I was just looking to duck the gunfire of responsibility. You have a job, you have a career, you have bills coming in all the time. You might have little kids you got to raise. I mean, you just got stuff going on that gets in the way of just decompressing with guys who are in the same predicament. And years go by, and all of a sudden you realize, shoot, I haven't hit a baseball in 14 years, and I miss it. Right? And so I wanted to create an environment that was safe for everybody there, and I wanted everybody who showed up to have a positive experience. So it's really not that competitive an environment, because the number one rule is that we support each other, right? And so it's more about having fun and teamwork, and it's less about the competitive aspect of it. We got guys from 21 to 83 years old. So.
21 to 83.
Yeah.
246 lifetime members, started with 50 founding members,
Yeah.
and growing, obviously. You're stepping down in your role, it sounds like, at the end of this year.
Yeah. You gotta
pass the torch.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I've had an extraordinary life because of these men. And the next generation who's waiting to follow me is stronger than the bunch that I started with. So the club's in great shape, and it's in great hands, and it will evolve to be even bigger and stronger than it has been. And that makes me quite proud. I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of my guys.
All right, well, let's end with this. You're going to the Field of Dreams. I mean, Dyersville, Iowa. It's you get to how long have you been working on that? How did you end up there this year? And how cool is it going to be?
Man, I've always tried to have a 3-year plan for the club, right? And so 2 years ago, we were in Chicago, or last time we were in Chicago with the White Sox, Major League Park, nice good time. Last year we had a great time with Savannah Bananas up in Savannah. But for my final year, I knew the right place to go was to take the guys to Dyersville, to the cornfield. And because a lot of these guys have been with me for 25 or 30, or one of them's been with me every year, never missed one. And when it's over, a bunch of us are going to walk out in the corn and disappear for now. And that just seemed like the right thing to do. We will have probably 15, maybe at least, fathers and sons.
Oh, wow.
Which is extraordinary.
Yeah, that's cool.
A lifetime memory for all them, which makes it a lifetime memory for me. So it seemed like the right place at the right time for all the right reasons. And they guaranteed me the corn will be standing and for 9 days after our departure. So we'll be all set. It'll be great.
How did they guarantee that?
Because they
know when they're harvesting?
Because the Field of Dreams corn in the outfield is made into bourbon, Field of Dreams bourbon, by Drew Storen, who used to pitch for the Cincinnati Reds, right? And so they wait to harvest it until the year's over, and instead of being sold as feed corn for the hogs or whatever, or cattle, it gets trucked, I forget how many trucks, 210 trucks maybe, to Kentucky and turned into mash and bourbonized. So we know when the harvest is going to be, and it's also darn good stuff. So if you get a chance to get a bottle of Field of Dreams bourbon, it's money well invested.
There might be some consumed that week out there at Field of Dreams. One last thing, I guess, is there anything left on the bucket list? And maybe if it's not you organizing it, where you'd love to see this go? Is it from Fenway Park, the Yankee Stadium, to I don't know, is there another place?
The Yankees couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't bump us, and the Red Sox wouldn't let us play till November. Okay. So neither of those works for me. I'd love to take a team back to Bimini in the Bahamas. I would love to go to an Indian reservation, right? Cincinnati Reds want us back. They've already invited us back. We'll probably work with Greg Olson next year, a former Rookie of the Year with the Orioles, relief ace, Oriole Hall of Famer. His charity foundation is in Omaha, where they have the College World Series venue. Cool. And so we got a lot of options, and they're all great options. As long as these guys show up, wherever they show up, it's going to be a great time.
Good stuff. Got to start swinging again.
That's right. Wood bats only. Wood bats only.
You got to play it the right way. Wood bats only. That's right. Chairman Ted Sivendinger. They call him Theo. Congratulations on a great run. Have fun.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's a pretty cool story as we take a look at the baseball grounds, and obviously the Jumbo Shrimp in action tonight and this weekend. They are home, and following the Jumbo Shrimp the last week or so, talking a lot about baseball. But get on out to the game this week if you like ball, and maybe take a look at what these guys are doing on Instagram, No Bats Baseball Club, and that's the name of it, No Bats Baseball Club. Really grown in 35 years, 35th edition of this. And just to hit a couple other things, I mean, I showed from the Nolan Ryan Foundation to the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation to, I mean, you name it, India Baseball Coaching Project. I mean, some of these things I'm not too familiar with, but Tony and Alicia Gwynn Foundation, Jim Catfish Hunter with ALS, Wounded Warriors you're obviously familiar with, just a bunch of different people they've impacted. And I was talking to these guys again when we were leaving, even after that interview, and just he mentioned the bourbon part, Theo did, and it was like, that's really, those guys said, hey, what can we do for you? He said, that's the first time anybody has really, we don't usually say that or give that because we don't ask for anything. We just kind of go there and, like he said in the interview, kind of spend the dollars in the local place and give charity dollars. That's it. It's very simple. There's nothing else, no hidden agenda behind any of it. But I will say this, that whiskey thing sounded pretty cool. I guess the whiskey deal that those you know more about this, where they put the cork on it is a different player.
So I know a little bit like the Drew Storen part of it.
Yeah,
he's involved in that. I had heard that part of the story, but I didn't know about the Field of Dreams, the corn part of it.
Yeah.
But I knew Drew Storen was super big in like the alcohol game now. That's kind of a cool way to do it.
Yeah, it is pretty neat. I got to look that up. I was thinking of my father-in-law, who's a big Reds fan, and it's just hit or miss whoever you get, a different play. I think it can be anybody. I don't think it's a Reds player. I think it's anybody in the major leagues that's played Major League Baseball over the years. I think that's it. So I might have to look into that. Again, all right, I'm going to give you this list real quick. Where would you like to go play ball in? These guys have gone to a lot of places. Mm-hmm. Dodgertown, Cooperstown, Tempe, Arizona, Rickwood Field. Obviously just had the big game there last year. That's a cool place. Alvin, Texas, Hertford, North Carolina, Jim Catfish Hunter's Farm. That's where that was. That's pretty neat back in the day. San Francisco, Pac Bell Park and Oakland Coliseum. Chicago, Alexian Field. Ironbird Stadium in Aberdeen, obviously Cal Ripken influence there. Round Rock for Nolan Ryan. Bank One Ballpark in Arizona. The Bahamas, Corpus Christi. Whataburger Field, that was in 2007. It was named Whataburger, or maybe it still is. Tony Gwynn Stadium in San Diego. San Antonio, Texas. Memphis, Tennessee. Vero Beach again. New Orleans. Dallas, Texas, Arlington Stadium. Wrigley Field in 2014. Marlins Park. Back to the Farm in 2016. Let's see, Great American Ballpark. They loved it there, they told me. In Cincinnati, Nashville, Tennessee, and Guaranteed Rate Field is the name of it in Chicago for the White Sox. And then Savannah Bananas, and then this year, Field of Dreams. You can pick one place to play. Where do you want to play? They haven't gone to Fenway or Yankee Stadium, so that's not on this list. But if you're going to join them for 1 year, where are you going?
Well, as a known Dodgertown guy that played there, so that one's out.
Yeah, you already have that.
I already have that one. Wrigley for sure.
Yeah, Wrigley would be pretty neat.
Be anything else,
that's unbelievable, man. It's just unbelievable. I just think it's so crazy that I didn't even know that happened. I didn't know you could take a group and rent out the field or whatever it is. And
I guess in theory it does make sense.
It does. Yeah, if it's an open date, it's an open date, right? Yeah. The tricky part is I forget which one he was talking about, but obviously if you're going up north, you can't play in November and December. I think that was the thing he said with Fenway, maybe in the article or in the interview or when we were talking. He's like, yeah, they said we could play in November. It's like, oh, okay. It might be snowing.
Yeah, that's what he said about Fenway. He said the Yankees couldn't guarantee they wouldn't bump off.
All right. These guys gave me a lot of information, so I don't want their information to go to waste. They did it really then and now, right? 1991 to 2025. Let's see what they say. Gas, it's a little offsite, so I want to make sure. Gasoline back then was $1.01 a gallon.
Damn.
Let's see what else we got.
Good gimmick.
Yeah, some of these are off, so now I feel like I'm confusing some of the money, so I don't want to get into it. I can't draw the parallel line to some of this. World population, by the way, was 5.4 million. 5.4 billion.
Yep, there you go.
It's now 8.2 billion.
Damn.
In 35 years.
You ever think there's too many people?
Yeah, but I think isn't there a common thought that there's not enough now? Or it's not growing at a good enough rate?
I didn't realize
people aren't having babies or something.
I feel like 8 billion is a good number.
By the way, I don't know if that's a political conversation. I've just seen that thought. So I don't know how making babies can be a political conversation, but I'm sure it is.
8 billion feels like a lot of humans. Too many.
MLB average ticket price, I think I got this one right, $8.73 back then. Amazingly, it's only $44 right now. I thought it'd be higher. And MLB teams are worth 26. They're 30. A couple other ones. World Series matchup in 1991 was Braves and Twins. Obviously, Dodgers, Yankees, the most recent. MVPs were Cal Ripken and Terry Pendleton.
Terry P., known good guy.
Compared to Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge.
That's almost the same.
Cy Young, Roger Clemens and Tom Glavine. It's pretty good.
Tommy G.
Chris Sale and Scooble.
Both Braves.
Academy Award Best Picture, Dances with Wolves back in the early 90s. Did you ever see that one? With Costner?
Have I ever seen that one? I got that signed by Costner.
I bet you do have it signed.
Come on.
Honora was this year. Did you see that one?
I also have that signed by Mickey Madison.
I would not have known. I don't know either of the names, the movie or the person you just mentioned.
Got them both signed 2 days apart and both sold. Thank you.
Record of the year, Phil Collins, Another Day in Paradise.
Phil Collins.
Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us.
Ooh. Song about Drake being a pedophile. Crazy world we're living in.
Oh, jeez.
I'm serious.
On that note, we'll go to a break.
Okay.
And we come back and we talk about the A-Sun, the big news they have. Thanks to those guys for talking a little ball. Get on out to the Shrimp this weekend. 6:30 tomorrow, 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon, 7 o'clock first pitch tonight.
Choose your own adventure. It's not just a saying, but a way of life here at Cycles of Jacksonville. And whether it's 2 wheels or 4 wheels, at Cycles of Jacksonville, a great adventure awaits. With brands like Honda, Vespa, Segway, and Triumph, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with the inventory featuring a 60,000 square foot building. If 4 wheels is more your thing, check out the largest selection of Honda Talons in the entire county. No matter what you're looking for, Cycles of Jacksonville is going to have the selection you need, all with great financing and rebates. Plus, if you're active duty military, Cycles of Jacksonville will offer you 0% financing along with great discounts for military and first responders. And when you want to get off the road and set sail, Cycles of Jacksonville has you covered with everything you need to get on the water. So if you're ready for a great adventure, let Cycles of Jacksonville be your guide. Located off Atlantic Boulevard or check out their website at cyclesofjacksonville.com.
It's fast-paced.
Hands off on first down, and there goes Edward Vander.
High fly.
Wide open receiver. It's caught.
Action-packed. Weekend fun. Fun for the entire family. It's the Jacksonville Sharks. I feel like anybody could play in this league. It's gotta be like backyard football, right?
Whoa! This ain't the Arena League, Brent. This is the indoor league, and they play defense here.
It's a lot safer to just watch the professionals play. And watching is a lot of fun. A party in the stands at the arena for kids and adults. And it's indoors. Get out of the heat for the summer and watch the Sharks shine inside. Jacksonville Sharks football, season number 15. It's the drive for 5, and it's still alive. Get your tickets at jacksharks.com.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Baker's Sports. It's a hometown business filled with hometown people trying to make you feel right at home.
Chris Conley, Jacksonville University.
Walker Wright, class of 2018, West Nassau High School.
Michael Young, Fletcher High School.
Baker's Sports started in a grassroots way and now outfits much of the Southeast.
Will Olive, Mandarin High School. Go Stangs.
High school sports, travel sports, youth sports of all kinds. They are a one-stop shop carrying Nike, Adidas, Under Armour brands, and more.
Vincent Caldes, Oak Leaf High School.
Tony Mazzio, Sandwood High School, class of 2002.
Samuel Coffrin, Paxton School for Advanced Studies.
Whether it's sports teams on the field or it's your team in the workplace, like our Action Sports Jacks team, and community events like the Dream 18 Golf Tournament, and many others.
Cole Tilley, Hilliard High School.
Reagan Webb, Eagles View Academy.
Look good, feel good, play good with Baker Sports. Custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team at bakersport.com. Grab some friends and go to a restaurant or head out for a drink and some conversation. Watch your favorite team play on the big screen. Or how about play some games? You can do all of that in one night at Best Bet. Each location has a different vibe, its own personality, like here at the original Best Bet in Orange Park. When you walk through these doors, everybody knows your name. And here in St. Augustine, it's the newest location. Play some poker. How about the table games? And don't forget about Ace's Sports Bar and Grill. And then there's the Jacksonville location right here on Monument Road. It's the biggest poker room in the state of Florida. Maybe you'll find yourself a seat right here at the final table. Best Bet, where you can have the best of times. And that makes you always go home a winner. Try any of the 3 locations, and you can always visit bestbetjacks.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
All right, so the Jacksonville Armada women play tonight on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network as they'll try to stay undefeated at home. They were good a week ago. They'll try to be good here tonight. At Edward Waters University is where you can watch it in person, or you can watch it on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. We've got a bunch of replays of the games that goes on as well Saturday and Sunday. And coming up next week and the following week, we're going to have some theme days where we will show all the Armada games in a day on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network from this season. Things like that, some of our shows after the game, and other themes we will let you know about. But that's tonight, 7 o'clock, actionsportsjacks.com, Action News Jacks app, Action News Jacks now on your smart TV. Best way to find it and watch it if you're a soccer fan and rooting for the Armada. Brent Martineau here. Austin Lane will join us in just a couple of moments. And, hey, we're going back out with another guest. We're locked and loaded here on a Friday as we head into a summer weekend in Jacksonville in the month of July next week. And big news out of the A-Sun yesterday, and no one better to talk about it than Jeff Bacon. He is the commissioner of the A-Sun, and, well, now he's got another conference on his hands, too. Jeff, great to hear from you and see you, and thanks for taking a few minutes and try to get through what can be a pretty complicated deal that you guys announced yesterday, but maybe it's more simple than it looks in writing. How do you feel about what just went on?
Yeah, I'm glad we're through it, Brent. You know, it's been a wild 48 hours.
I bet.
But yeah, it's been exciting though. I mean, this is these things there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes, as you can imagine. So to bring something like this to fruition, something that's new for Division I college athletics, is exciting, as you can imagine.
So here's the deal, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of it, but the WAC, which people knew, Western Athletic Conference, well, if you looked at the WAC like 2 days ago, they basically had 3 teams in Texas. And so they changed their name to the now UAC, and I think that's the United Athletic Conference. And in the meantime, the A-Sun, which had 12 member institutions, or still does, at least for the time being, 5 of those will go to this new conference, the UAC, the old WAC, and that includes West Georgia, Eastern Kentucky, North Alabama, Central Arkansas, and I always leave one out, trying to get through it without even looking at it. I'm missing somebody.
Alabama.
North Alabama, thank you. And so that's that conference now. And the A-Sun has the remaining 7 that people know, including Jacksonville University and the University of North Florida. But my understanding is you and your staff are operating both conferences. Do I have that right?
You do. You kind of nailed it. Are we confused yet?
Well, no, but I think the next question is, okay, well, who gets the bid from the league in the NCAA tournament or anything else? Well, you guys have a good resolution there. Both still keep their automatic qualifier spot in postseason and NCAA tournament play. So check that box. And I guess the last part of this is that I look at it from like our TV world or our media world where we have a lot of scale, Jeff. And in part you have scale because when you want to negotiate with the cable outlets or whoever else, you have a little bit of leverage to do that. That's kind of what I'm looking at here. When you want to go to maybe a sponsor or a TV deal or anything else, does this make you stronger in a potential negotiation to get what you want or could get for some of these member institutions, having both of these conferences aligned?
Yeah, Brent, you're spot on with all of that. I mean, this was an opportunity to take two leagues, reconstitute them in a way that honestly makes a little more sense. I think most fans, most media, even those of us in the industry would say that these conferences look a little wonky at times on paper, and ours included, although we're very intentional in why our conference looks like it does. But it's an opportunity to reconstitute two conferences and then find a way to work together, which is just unheard of in our space. I mean, people talk about it all the time, but pulling it off doesn't seem to ever happen. Well, we're formally working together, two conferences to manage media rights negotiations, like you just mentioned, to try to leverage our assets together, as you just mentioned, to try to reduce our overhead, to reduce costs, to schedule games. You know, getting games is getting harder and harder, and getting home games at places like JU and UNF is getting harder and harder, especially as those teams continue to get better. So now we've got two conferences truly working together in an alliance, and we solve what we think is going to be a lot of problems. And we also really, frankly, we situate ourselves in a much better position for what's going to be the future.
Yeah, in a future that still is uncertain, but you're obviously trying to get ahead of it a little bit. We've heard conference realignment for years. We've already had conference realignment, but everybody thinks of the Power Four when you talk about those things. How much ahead of the curve are you on this? Do you feel that, like, hey, this is forward thinking and this alignment can really help, again, our institutions, but maybe our staying power in this ever-changing collegiate landscape?
Oh, it absolutely helps that. I mean, it gives us flexibility. It gives us room to grow potentially. It gives us more strength in numbers as we move forward because now we've got two conferences really tied together. And, it's a proactive move too, Brent. I mean, our level, it's not our fault. It just happens. I mean, the domino falls from the top and we get hit along the way. Well, this is an opportunity for us to kick a domino over, honestly. And take control of our own destiny. So, for all those reasons and more, it's really exciting.
All right. So I guess, Mike, we followed the ASUN for a long time now here in town. Only 7 member institutions. Do you plan to grow that? Is that enough? Is that okay? Is that solid ground? Can you go forward? By the way, this takes place a year from next week, so July of 2026. But is that feasible, or are there going to be hopeful plans for more growth down the road?
Yeah, it puts us in a place where it is feasible. We can walk into 26 as we are, and that's okay. But I don't know that that's where we want to land with this. I do think expansion is on the horizon for us. We'll be really diligent in that and thoughtful in that. Now that we feel like we've situated ourselves in such a solid position, we want to be really thoughtful and intentional if we expand, but it creates room to do that now. Whereas before it was a little tougher. When you've got 12, 13 schools in your conference and you've got one AQ or one automatic qualifier on the line, it makes expansion growth tough. But now we've got space, we've got room to do that. So I would expect us to most likely look a little different when we head to 2026.
That's an interesting thought too, and we'll keep our eye on that. But it's also interesting what you just said. I guess I don't think about it in that landscape often. If you have 12 members of your conference like the ASUN has had, and you only have one bid to the NCAA tournament in so many sports, it does feel like, man, that's tough. And if you want to grow, right, to get to 14, now only 1 out of 14, it's totally different if you're the SEC and you're getting 8 bids out of your big conference. So that's an interesting way to look at it. It just feels like if you have maybe 8, 9, or 10 schools, your one bid league, now you got a little bit better of at least a probability of making it happen.
A lot easier pathway, at least in theory, right? Fewer teams to get through to get there. And So it helps us in that space, and it also helps us in scheduling. When you've only got so many regular season opportunities at your disposal, if you've got a whole lot of teams, it's hard to get a balanced schedule out of your regular season. So, just think about in terms of the way we're looking at it now. If we walked in with the A-Sun with 7 programs next year, you can play a nice, easy double round robin, and that's 12 games, and then you go out and fill the rest. Now, 12 may not be where we want to be, and that might be why we try to look at maybe expanding, but just from a regular season balance perspective, those smaller numbers are helpful.
All right, I won't keep you too much longer, but how much risk is there in a move like this for you? I mean, obviously it's a big move, so it kind of feels different, which seems risky to me. I mean, is there risk for you guys in doing this?
Brent, I think there's more risk in standing still, these days. I mean, there's risk in everything we're doing in Division I right now. And I mean, and what our folks, our presidents and our ADs, I think collectively said by doing this is there some risk? Probably, yeah, a little bit, but much greater risk if we don't do anything and if we don't try to put ourselves in a better position.
How do you feel as a commissioner with everything that's come down in the last month? We knew where this was headed. Obviously, it goes through the courts, and now we've landed in a spot. We had Nick Morrow on a couple of weeks ago and went through everything for an hour, so I won't do that with our listeners and viewers. But how do you feel as a commissioner of a conference about what just transpired, and at least for the current moment, where we are at in collegiate athletics?
I feel like we're better situated to manage it now, Brent. I mean, I think we're in a better position as a result of this. But, I think I've told you before, I mean, I'm really comfortable being uncomfortable as a commissioner. And if you can't do that in college athletics right now, you ought to find another job because we can't predict what's happening. This thing's moving so quickly. The House settlement and its ramifications, the lawsuits that are being filed all the time. You got to be ready to adjust and pivot. And so I'm comfortable with that. I think I do like where the industry is heading. I think we're catching up to where society has asked us to catch up to for a really long time, and that's a good thing. We'll have some bumps along the way, but I think now our conference and the United Athletic Conference together are just tremendously well prepared to handle that.
I know there's nothing really, like, it's all unsettling to kind of your point still, and it might be for years to come, but it feels like with the House settlement, it's like, okay, that's in the rear view, that headline's in the rear view. What's the next headline, not headline to say what's like the breaking news, but what's the next kind of thing to watch unfold in collegiate athletics? Like, where should we have our eyes next, whether it involves the A-Sun or just in general college sports?
Well, in general, I mean, you're going to see a transfer of power within Division I. We're, and I say we collectively, will roll out a new Division I NCAA governance structure, perhaps as early as a month or so from now. And that's going to probably include some level of transfer of power to those A4 institutions where they have greater autonomy and decision-making. I'm comfortable with that. I think it allows us to have greater autonomy and decision-making as well at our level. So I would keep an eye out and expect that pretty soon. And then, the lawsuits, Brent, I mean, things we've talked about, we need federal help at this point. We need legislation to protect the entity of collegiate athletics. It is a unique, special, and rare thing. It doesn't exist anywhere else on the planet, and it needs to be treated a little bit differently as a result. And at this point, with the slew of lawsuits that are coming at us, we need federal assistance. We need some protections from antitrust suits. We need student athletes to no longer be thought of as employees, and let's treat them as student athletes. And so we're fighting that fight. So those are the big things. We're going to have some new governance, employment lawsuits, and we need some federal help.
All right, we'll keep our eye on it. Jeff Bacon, A-Sun Commissioner. I'll end with this. Jacksonville is hosting the A-Sun Conference men's and women's basketball tournaments here next year. Does this news change anything in terms of that? And I guess, how are things going in terms of hosting it, at least for now, with a 12-member institution or conference coming to Jacksonville in March of next year?
Yeah, no, we're locked and loaded for 2026. We cannot wait to roll that tournament out in Jacksonville here in less than a year. So that planning is well underway. Our partners with Visit Jax and the city of Jacksonville and the Sports Foundation have been tremendous. ViStar and the folks over there at the arena have been tremendous. So we're well underway. Nothing changes for 2026. And our schools, our student athletes are just incredibly excited to get down here.
Awesome. Jeff Bacon, ASUN Commissioner. Hopefully you get a little bit of a break after this news. Enjoy the 4th of July holiday, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Brent. Good to see you, man.
You too. That is Jeff Bacon. By the way, big win for the ASUN. Our news of the day, really, with Chaz Lanier, right, from UNF, and kind of a springboard to the NBA. So that's also a good move once again. If you missed the news there, you're talking about 15 programs and colleges and universities, institutions, however you want to say it, has now spread out over 2 conferences. The old WAC is gone. The United Athletic Conference now takes 5 teams from the ASUN. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them. North Alabama, Eastern Kentucky, West Georgia, Central Arkansas. I can't get
North
that.
Alabama?
I already said North Alabama. I said it first this time. I can never finish off the 5. I say it differently every time. See, that's my problem. I should say it all the same. But anyway, they'll join 3 of the teams in Texas, and so there'll be an 8-team league out there, a 7-team league now in the ASUN. Again, that starts next July. So it is what it is for now. It's normal, but then it changes, and there's a nice alliance there between the 2 conferences. I think it's a pretty smart idea, and how it plays out, I have no idea. But I think it's a pretty smart idea. I can see what they're doing. Makes some sense, and it'll be interesting to see if that's the way the non-Power 4 schools go in trying, especially on some of the lower conference level, the mid-major levels, try to operate in this kind of fashion to team up from a resource standpoint, scheduling standpoint, and even more things behind the scenes. Appreciate Jeff Bacon for coming on. What do you think? Where are we at? We got Austin, or? I'm
communicating with them right now via text, but I sent you a text.
Oh,
Here we go again. 2 days in a row. Just trying to figure out the plan. I got a text typed to Austin, but I'm waiting to hear from you. So
let's do this. How about we take a break, stay on time, and then we'll come back and we'll have Austin on the other side. Let's do that. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. I have Daniel Griffith's article about Brian Thomas Jr., so we'll talk a little bit about BTJ to end the week here on a Friday on the Brent Austen Show. Jacksonville Sharks on the road. Shark Bites, by the way, my hope is to have an airing of Shark Bites at 1 o'clock today on the show, on the Action, I'm sorry, not on the show, on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. If I can go put that in the system, which I plan to, and you can see it at 1 o'clock today and 1 o'clock tomorrow. Reason being, at 7 o'clock tonight, we have the Jacksonville Armada. And always check out jacksharks.com as well for tickets. They will be on the road this weekend, off next weekend, back home July 12th. They have 2 more home games in the regular season. They got a chance this weekend to qualify for the postseason. And, of course, check out the weekly show, Shark Bites, simply at actionsportsjacks.com. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models, or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. And most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade.
If you look good, you feel good. And the medical professionals here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics are here to make you feel your best. I'm on camera every week, and I have a confession to make. I'm not always confident in my appearance. Can you see my dark circles? Is my makeup highlighting my fine lines instead of covering them up? I question it all. So when I found out about the wide variety of procedures here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics, I knew help was just one appointment away. Medical Director Dr. Megan Deacon Casey and her board-certified physicians have been using the latest in cutting-edge technology for the last 10 years, giving men and women their personal confidence boost. From Botox, fillers, Morpheus 8, and so much more. The hardest part was figuring out what I needed. Thankfully, the medical team walked me through what would work best for me through a free consultation. Come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Visit them at one of their 2 locations, either over in Ponte Vedra or on the south side.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Right now, you can get a free Connecticut reverse osmosis system with a purchase of a Connecticut Premier Softener. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax PAL. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
This has been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax PAL.
Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Hey, fun show today as we talking a little Chaz Lanier, talk to the ASUN commish, talk to Matthew Driscoll, talk a little ball going to Field of Dreams in October with the charity outfit. Talk about Bill Sheridan, former Wisconsin guy for Austin. A lot of Wisconsin ties. I had Jack Oschenbach in yesterday, another Wisconsin guy. And now we go to South Florida. And Austin Lane joins us here on the show. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Casey Kurtz, putting a bow on a week, putting a bow on a month, putting a bow on the first half of the year. And then get out of here for a little bit before coming back in full earnest with football season on the horizon. What is happening on a Friday in South Florida? How's South Beach?
South Beach is going good, man, and Oschenbach might be the most Wisconsin name I've ever heard, and I've heard a lot of them. But Oschenbach is definitely up there.
Yeah, he is. He's very Wisconsin. He's a Packers guy.
Oh, yeah.
What he's got to do is take me golfing up there in Wisconsin. I really want to go.
Yeah, I forgot what's the big one.
Whistling Straits.
Whistling Straits. There you go. I think probably like Hidden Waters, Whistling Straits, whatever it is. But yeah, that one gets a lot. I mean, there's a couple of them. There's like Kohler or something.
Erin Hills, but then they have the Kohler Resort, which is really supposed to be fantastic. I got to go. Like, this is really,
pretty good putt too there, Brent, as well.
Pretty good putt. I don't necessarily I won't mind going to your hometown and seeing everybody and what we've talked about for years, but I really want to do the hometown thing so I could get to Wisconsin to play some golf.
Yeah, I mean, my hometown does have a golf course. It's called Glacier Woods, and I think it's pretty well regarded. But yeah, I mean, if you want some putt, Brent, I'll take you to Tom Thumb, and we'll go to putt, and I'll show you a good time, man.
Yeah, if you never stop fighting, we could go in the summer.
I know. Yeah. I hear you.
We got to go in the summer. I don't want to go in the winter. Well, I mean, I don't mind going in the winter, but it's kind of a weird deal. I think we almost have to go twice, right? I said this, I don't know if you've been to Jackson Hole, right?
I haven't been to Jackson Hole. No.
Oh, where'd you go? Oh, you went to Montana. Big Sky.
I've been to Big Sky, Montana before, yes.
Okay, so I went to Jackson Hole. We went to the whole Yellowstone thing a few years back. It was awesome. And Jackson Hole, in the summer, it's a nice resort town. It's cool. It's obviously a touristy place. But I want to go back in the winter because that's really what it's known for, right? It apparently has some of the best skiing that you can find. But Steph doesn't want to go. Steph doesn't want to go in the winter. Because the roads are like impassable at times, and there's get that much snow. But I'm like, no, man, I got to see this in the winter. Like I saw it in the summer, I got to see it in the winter. Well, Wisconsin's like that for me. I want to go play golf, but I also want to go to a Green Bay game, a Packers game, and I don't really want to go to a Packers game in September. I want the whole effect. Like I want to go to a Packers game in like late November or December when it's cold and possible snow.
Yeah, man, that's it's definitely a different scene there when we're talking about late in November and it's like, deer hunting season, because like people will go hunt for, they'll get up at 5 when the sun comes up, they'll go hunt for a couple hours and they'll make their way still rocking their hunting gear and go to a Packer game. So I highly recommend around the Thanksgiving time, the December time is definitely time you want to go.
That's a day now. You get up to go hunting and you got a game in. You take Monday off after that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I feel like people take Monday off, or else they'll just go deer hunting again on Monday, and then they'll somehow still go to work. I have no idea how they do it.
Yeah, Casey, somewhere in the mix of the last half hour, we got onto Kevin Costner because I think we were talking. Did we start with Field of Dreams, or how did we get on it?
The interview you did. Field of Dreams, liquor we were talking about. Then you went through the things that were a price when they went there, and then you said best movie, Dances with Wolves, and then we got there.
Thank you very much for the path. Welcome. Before I do forget this, the guys from the No Bats Baseball Club, I think I had it right, No Bats Baseball Club, they gave me a link to the Field of Dreams whiskey that we were talking about, Casey. Cool. Right? So they make, Austin, if you missed it, and I'm sure you did, but the corn that gets harvested out of field, like in Dyersville, they wait until the end of the year, the way I understood this, and instead of, as they mentioned, feeding it to the pigs and everybody else, it is actually used to make whiskey. Okay. And who's the former Reds guy?
Drew Storen.
And somebody else, they kind of started this thing. So drinkfieldofdreams.com is the website, and there's a discount code, No Bats. Gets $10 off 2 bottles or more. So there you go. Got a little discount code if you want to buy it. A little Field of Dreams whiskey, which I might have to try. Kind of been into the whiskey lately.
I like it, man. Real quick, to get kind of caught up today. So, Brent, you said Dances with Wolves is the best movie ever, or the best Kevin Costner movie ever?
No, I didn't say anything. I just was. We were doing when this league started in 1991. That was the best movie. Best picture. And so again, we're like all over the map here. But then I said, we were talking in a break, Casey and I, and we were like, man, Costner's had an unbelievable career, right? And I was asking him about from like an autograph perspective, is he a nice guy and stuff like that. And I said, man, he's had an unbelievable career. And when I think of like, again, you know me, I don't know actors and movies and all that stuff, but I think of a Costner kind of career path in terms of just how good it's been and how much stuff he's been in and how different some of the stuff has been. And I think of Tom Cruise.
Okay.
All right. But I feel like Tom Cruise is a way bigger star than Costner. I think people forget about Costner, even though I think you could put him in the same ilk of his resume. But again, I'm not telling you I'm right on that. I just feel that way.
Yeah. So here's my argument with that. Give me Tom Cruise's worst movie.
Oh, geez, I'm not going to be able to do this.
Casey, feel free to take it. Because, I mean, I feel like Tom Cruise is almost in like that Denzel Washington where he doesn't really miss too much.
I see.
Like whatever he picks, he does. For Kevin Costner, The Postman was I loved Waterworld, but I get Waterworld gets a lot of hate sometimes. Draft Day was just, it was okay, right? But like, see, here's the thing, like for a serious role like Kevin Costner, like, okay, you have Draft Day. Well, serious role was Jerry Maguire for Tom Cruise, and we saw how that went. I think he was nominated for an Oscar. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, Brendan. Obviously, we talk about serious role, like Dances with Wolves is a great movie. I remember being a kid not really understanding it because it was way too long, and they weren't really dancing with the wolves. Like I was expecting, like they're gonna like
there was no tango
with the wolves. Yeah, like do like the Macarena with the wolves.
It's a bad title.
Not even close. It was all about some kind of like giant like buffalo hunt or whatever. It was cool.
Hey, by the way, the worst movie. This is you wanted me to go off my AI search.
Batista and John Cena.
It's not Batista and John Cena. And again, I have no idea. But Rock of Ages, The Mummy, Far and Away. And also they list Cocktail, but I don't think people would put Cocktail on the worst movie for
Rock of Ages. Cruise. I didn't see, but it's a musical, and Tom Cruise played like a rock star in it.
Okay,
I remember like it was kind of like people were like, "Is he okay?" Because it was so like against like what he usually does.
Tom Cruise is in The Mummy.
The Mummy. Oh, that's right. Because they did like the rehashed version of The Mummy. Brendan Fraser. I don't even remember The Mummy, honestly. Like
it sucked, version. Apparently.
So what you're telling me though is like, here's this isn't on the AI one. This is from the IMDb worst movies for Kevin Costner. 3,000 Miles to Graceland, The Postman. You said Message in a Bottle.
3,000 Miles to Graceland's fantastic, by the way. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I actually enjoyed that movie.
The Bodyguard, Swing Vote are the 5 that they list here.
Okay.
AI says The Postman. So
yeah, Postman was not
good. But so what you're basically telling me, you think like the floor of Cruise is better than Costner.
Yeah, I think the floor of Cruise is a lot better than Costner. But I'm going to be honest, man. One of my favorite movies growing up as a kid, and I've literally seen it over 100 times, was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, with him and Morgan Freeman. I think was in it. Yeah, Morgan Freeman. That was a fantastic movie. I thought it was great.
See, I think the reason I understand your point. I think the reason that Cruise feels bigger is like Costner's not in any of those like movie series, if you will. Like, not that Cruise is a superhero of note, but like, Mission Impossible is pretty big deal. Good little run of series there. Yeah. And then Top Gun as well turned into a series.
True.
But like, and Costner just doesn't have any of those type roles.
Yellowstone now, I guess, is what right? Like that's like this, that's TV, but
honestly, like baseball movies and Yellowstone. Because now he's doing the not Yellowstone spinoff.
He is,
whatever he was.
I haven't seen that. Is that out?
It's got to be out because he was pubbing it last year.
That's a good call, though. I like that. That's a pretty good call. What's interesting about them is they've both from whatever it started, probably in the mid to late 80s, from Few Good Men, at least the way I remember it, to Field of Dreams, to now, you say Mission Impossible, and I watch less of that stuff now, but even like a Yellowstone, it's crazy how relevant they've been now for, what are we going on, 40 years?
Definitely.
Crazy.
That's nuts.
That's staying power. Yeah.
That's pretty amazing to be able to be that, I guess, nimble, if you will, to be able to adjust. Yeah. So,
but also like super relevant, not fringe relevant. The Mission Impossible just came out, and Costner has something that Yellowstone thing just came. The spinoff just came out. Like very much super relevant, not like they were in that one thing one time.
Yeah.
Super relevant in
culture.
Like, yeah, like the 80s, super relevant now, like crazy.
All right, so let me ask you guys this, because I don't know this part. I know Costner, he directed, right, Dances with Wolves. He's done a lot of the I think he directed Yellowstone, right, or produced or whatever it is. But yeah, maybe it wasn't directing, but he very actively involved behind the scenes.
He produced the new thing that he's doing.
How about Cruise? I know he does his own stunts and stuff, but does he do a lot of that as well?
Directing, it's a good question.
Or producing, like the bigger role of putting the whole damn thing together. Really having a lot of, his handprint on it. I don't
He's
know
only directed one thing ever, but he has produced basically everything since he became, who he was. Since he he produced all the Mission Impossibles. He produced the Jack Reacher stuff, and then the second Top Gun he produced.
Okay. I wonder if you get... I guess I got to ask Asher Grodman a little bit of that. He'd probably know, but do you get credit in that world for producing, even if you didn't really you weren't really producing, but because you changed a line and ad-libbed it. Actors do that all the time, and it stuck,
Yeah.
But here's the thing about producing. To me, it's just a fancy way of saying you bet on yourself and put the money forward. You didn't direct. You just basically said, hey, here's $2 million, here's whatever you need it for. For instance, there's a new movie with it's featuring Jordan Peele because he produced it, but it's called Him. Mm-hmm. It's like a horror football movie. I'm not sure if you've seen the trailer, Brent. It looks insane. Casey, I'm sure you probably see it, but one of the Wayans brothers are in it. But it looks really eerie and really just scary. But everyone's saying, oh yeah, Jordan Peele is a part of it. Well, no, he gave the money to produce it. It's not like his influence is going to be anywhere, but they want to use the name produced by Jordan Peele because, well, that's the big name.
I see. I didn't know that. I guess that makes sense. See, that's another avenue for them to get kind of that. I mean, there's a lot of people on the credits. But hey, if you throw up the $2 million, then we'll put your name on the credit. That makes a lot of sense in that respect. So, Casey, we always ask you the autograph side of this. Then, which one's more sought after?
Cruise.
Because harder to get.
Harder to get because of the personal life stuff.
Yeah, like all the Scientology stuff.
Yeah, you could run into Costner for the and I say that in a kind of tongue-in-cheek way, but Costner for a while was doing a thing with a band, so he was kind of touring. You could get him there. He's a little bit more, and don't get me wrong, he's not very accessible, but he's a lot more accessible than Cruise, who outside of places he's supposed to be, people don't really ever see Tom Cruise anywhere, and that I think goes to the personal life stuff.
What would be more valuable? Well, I'm assuming more valuable is going to be Cruise on anything because if you said he doesn't sign as much, but let's just say a Field of Dreams, Costner, or a Cruise, Few Good Men.
Well,
on something whether it's a poster or whatever.
You're talking just singles, right? Not including the other cast members?
Yeah, just by themselves.
On a gavel. Yeah,
that'd be good.
Judge would bang, what I'm saying? A Tom Cruise autographed gavel.
Well, it'd be better if it was, I think, Nicholson on that. Don't you think?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
well, as someone who just got some Costner stuff done and has moved it, that's some pretty pricey stuff. Now, a full size on Cruise would still probably be more valuable, but I do think it would be close because the one thing that people really desire, and this is kind of deep in the weeds if you're doing the posters, the Field of Dreams poster is just Costner. He's the only human being pictured on the poster. So it's more aesthetically pleasing that he's the only one. Yeah, that's exactly right. And there goes Austin.
They're at the camera, but yeah.
And so people like the fact that he's the only one on it, just like that. You could do the poster.
No, I got it. I could keep going.
And on the Few Good Men poster, it's Demi Moore and Nicholson as well. So people like the singles a little bit better.
Oh yeah, I got it. Yeah, because they're all kind of
looking
distance. For yeah.
I was like, I don't know if he was talking to somebody.
There's like the flag behind him. They're also kind of looking off in the distance. But yeah, like to feel the Jim's a little more personable. He's like, baseball, you know.
Who would you rather have a beer with?
Costner for sure. Yeah, I
You
feel like
have a
Cruz
beer
would
with
maybe freak
Cruz.
me out a little bit.
Yeah, you end up.
But Cruz is straightened out a little bit, right? Or is he still?
He'll try to convert you, Brent.
He will. He's still into it.
Yeah.
Dude,
you can't get out. Yeah, you can't get out.
I thought what's her name got out.
How is she doing?
I don't know.
That's a good point.
You think that's by a coincidence? Like,
I don't know
if
how
you
she
get
doing.
out.
Is there some stuff
you're
there?
Done.
Like Leah Remini? Is that who I'm talking about?
Yes, that's who you're talking about.
It's like one of the only actresses I know.
Yeah.
How do you know her? King of Queens?
Loved King and Queens.
Apparently,
You liked King of Queens?
Loved it before she went Scientology route.
girl hasn't been relevant in like 15 years, but
Brett,
knows her front to back.
known King of Queens fan. Were you the guy that bought my King of Queens cast thing on eBay?
Loved
Was that
King
you?
and Queens, man. That was awesome.
I had a cast thing up for a while. Somebody bought it.
That was a great show, wasn't it?
Yeah. It had her. It had Kevin James. It had Patton Oswalt on it. Somebody
Is that the old guy?
We got Patton
No.
Oswalt
The dad?
too.
The dad's Jerry Stiller.
Stiller?
But he passed
Oh,
away.
that's Stiller. My bad.
Seinfeld. Yeah. Casey, let me ask you this, man. In terms of like living actors or actresses, who's like the hardest? Like who's like the most coveted? Are we talking like Denzel?
Denzel's coveted. The first place my mind went when you said that was Jack, just because he's Jack Nicholson. He's super
Legend.
He's a legend. He doesn't go outside much. He used to be extremely tough. Now when you see him, he actually does do it. He kind of like does a give back thing. But like he was just in New York doing something, and he signed a ton, and that was like really big news in my world. And like good stuff, like Joker stuff, because a lot of that didn't exist. And then the other one would be Clint Eastwood, just because. So and like you don't see him anymore. So like if you don't have it, you're kind of.
What's he like? He's like got to be like 90,
92. I think.
92.
Yeah.
He'd be. I tell you what. I don't think I'd be too intimidated. There are some people that maybe you say you wouldn't be intimidated by. You would. Nicholson, I'd be intimidated by. Like if I were to go ask him. Like in your world, like if I had to go ask him, maybe like because just the character of Nicholson is just an intimidating character. No, I know it's a wide scope, but almost everything he's in is not like this. Hey,
dude, I'm thinking of The
nice
Shining.
to see
Like,
you.
oh my god. Yeah.
I mean, what an actor, man. He's unbelievable. Okay, so, I just did this. Who would you rather have a beer with? It's funny. It brings us back to when we were teasing the storytellers in the 904, Casey, because we asked Gene Fournette this question. And this actually came from some folks when I was doing just some homework on the guys and just trying to make sure I tied up some loose ends. And I can't remember if it was like Mark Long or Mike DeRocco kind of said, who suggested it. And eventually we got to, who would you rather have a beer with? Bortles or Minshew?
Oh, that's right. I remember this.
Well, who would it be? We could do this for like an hour for that end this Friday. Who'd you rather have a beer with, right?
This is literally, this could be a long-winded topic. Man.
Yeah. What the hell, man? It's Friday. And
Leah Remini or Kevin James, the ultimate King of Queens beer?
I got to look up Remini now, but I don't like looking up anything because then I just get up. Yeah, that's exactly why I don't like looking up anything.
Yeah. I think we talked about it too much. The Porterlight are going to be outside when we get out of here.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Who's they? I'm in the dark here. Who am I even looking out for?
Go out the side door, my guy.
Guys, I don't pay attention to this stuff.
Relevant in like 15 years. And there's a reason why Tom Cruise is just still putting out movies. Like,
now you guys are scaring me.
Connect the dots.
It's terrifying, Brett. We got to be.
Good thing I'm getting out of town tomorrow.
You think? You just better hope you get to come back.
All right, man. Bortles or Minshew?
I don't want to have a beer with more. I mean, the whole road trip thing in the RV with Minshew. But okay, so are you saying just one night hanging out and having a beer, right?
Yeah.
Not okay. I think you can have the better stories with Minshew, but I think it's just going to be a more laid back evening with Blake Bortles. So it depends what you want. Do you want to have an epic night? Do you want to go wild? I'm 37 years old, Brent, so maybe I tend to lean a little more just relaxing. So I lean more towards Blake Bortles. But, if we're talking like a New Year's Eve, if we're talking like a reason to party, then I'm going with Gardner Minshew. So if I'm partying, Minshew. If it's a cocktail, just hanging out, Bortles.
This coming from a guy who swallowed glass on a night out with Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, that was Blaine. Hey, that's like Blaine Gabbert's not in this conversation.
Casey, what do you got? It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's really hard.
There's interesting conversations I'd like to have with Minshew that have nothing to do with anything other than my business because I have some questions I'd like to ask. So I would go Minshew for personal reasons.
You know, here's where I land with it. You know, so many of these things I think about that I really would like to wait for another like 15 or 20 years when they'd be more will. I always say this about Tebow, right? Like Tebow's still in the spotlight, but when Tebow's on the front porch and 20 years, 25 years or whatever, and he doesn't care anymore about what people are saying, or he cares less about it, or if something's going to go viral. That's when I'd like to do like the interview with Tebow about everything. And I kind of feel a similar way with these guys because they're still young and probably a little bit, they'd be more reserved. But if you could get them unleashed, I really think Bortles would unleash more. I think he doesn't give a damn about what people think at all. Not to say Minshew does, but I think he would be a little bit more reserved on what he'd share. But I will say the one thing I'm still fascinated by on Minshew is the hand injury. Of like, how did all that go down? And what's the real story behind a lot of that? So for that, I still feel like Minshew wouldn't tell us the whole thing on a night. Having a couple of pops, I do think Bortles would. Like I don't know if you need pops to get Bortles to do it. So yeah, that's a fascinating one. I think I'll pick Blake just for that, and maybe just to be a little bit different. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like that might be the best question, like the best A or B in like the history of the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think you're right. Because we've talked about it before, Brent. Like, which person would you say has represented Jacksonville the most? And by that, I mean, you know, obviously, like when you think of Duval, when you think of Florida, man, like who do you think of? And I think it's Blake Bortles, it's Gardner Minshew, 1 and 2.
These things get tricky, right? Because like if people are, I don't know what the chat's saying right now, I don't see it up, but I think if I walk into Publix and I ask that question, everybody will be like, oh, I'd love to have a beer with Freddie T. He's my favorite Jag. Like, I get that. Mm-hmm. But that's not really the nature of the question. Having a beer with your favorite athlete, Jag, whatever else. The nature is like, what's that conversation going to be like? Right? Yeah. I mean, and where does like a Jalen Ramsey, if he's willing to share some stuff over a drink, come into play? Mm-hmm. You know, again, these are more recent, but I'm sure folks have other ones from the early years. I'd be like, all right, you got to tell me what's up. A lot of people want to know what happened in that locker room at halftime of that 1999 AFC Championship game against Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Like maybe it's that. So, I mean, the guy to actually have a beer with, Austin, but you're going to have several to get him to talk is Skip.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, Skip is the guy. Skip,
and nobody knows Skip. Like if I say that, but Skip's like the head of security. He's got all the stories.
He definitely has all the stories, and I'm not sure if there's a big enough bar tab where Skip's gonna, tell all the information, man. Like he should just set it for the book. It's like you always say. Speaking of someone that you probably don't want to have a beer with, and this is more directed towards Casey Kurtz. Changing it up a little bit here, but no, Casey, I'll have a beer with you all day. I'm saying a person you wouldn't want to have a beer with, though, is probably Kelsey Plum. Have you seen the viral video of her confronting the autograph seekers?
Yeah, that was a friend of mine.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So I'm going to speak my piece quickly because obviously this is more geared towards you, but I just want to say what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Like I never had an issue with autograph seekers, like that wanted my autograph when I played football, just because it's like, okay, I get it. Like you're trying to hustle and everything, more power to you. But like until I met Casey Kurtz, as someone who actually does it, I got a newfound respect for it, because I think people just think okay, you're just going to wait outside the hotel but no, there's a lot that goes into it. You have to know who these people are going to be. There's traveling. It's like the ultimate hustle. So like ever since I met Casey, and not to say I was ever like standoffish before, but now I'm almost inviting where if somebody wants to get my autograph, man, and you want, then more power to you, because listen, I'm lazy. Like I could easily autograph my own pictures, put them on eBay and sell them myself.
You could.
I don't want to do that. So then, you know what? If you want to do it, go ahead and do it, man. Like I'm thankful that my name is even considered to be, known enough to do that for somebody. So I thought it was kind of off-putting that Kelsey Plum was like calling this guy a weirdo and everything, and kind of making him feel, like, I don't know. I felt like she was kind of bullying him a little bit with cameras all around and everything. Just it wasn't a good look. But Casey, what are your thoughts about it?
This is what we like to hear. Now, this is what we're talking about. Yeah, man. Obviously, I thought it was a bit goofy. I think there are times and there are other autograph videos out there that people deserved kind of how the person reacted to them. I don't think that was that time, because if you're just casually hanging out there, and listen, I've said this before, if there's a big bus outside a hotel with your team's logo on it, I don't think you can really use the claim of like, how did you know, why are you here? Because you parked your bus right in front for everybody in Minnesota to see. So
on public property.
On public property, right. So and again, man, you're not outside the hotel room door on floor 7, room 618 or whatever, with your stuff. Like, you're outside on the sidewalk where you're allowed to be. So it's kind of on par for the person who started the argument, I will say, to start it. And yeah, man, I think it's goofy. I think it's a bad look. A lot of people on the internet sided with Kelsey Plum. More power to you. But you know me, man. I don't think anything wrong was going on there.
And I think that there's ways to go about it. Like, if you're Kelsey Plum, you can just say, thanks but no thanks, and just be respectful and walk away. You don't have to call somebody a weirdo. You don't have to question somebody and all that stuff. And by the way, keep in mind what league you play in. You're always talking about equal pay. You're always talking about getting more money, all this revenue. Well, if you want to be an NBA player and make NBA player money, then you're going to be treated like an NBA player. And ask any NBA player on an away game when they go to the hotels, you think they're getting autographs a little bit? You think they're having pens and stuff in their face? Absolutely. Probably more than, the WNBA that you play for. So, I don't know, man. I think it just rubbed me the wrong way more because, like, I know you now, Casey. So it's almost like I want to defend you a little more, which is kind of funny because I see, like, people that are doing, like, microphones and, reporting and everything, and this get heckled. And I could care less about Brent. But for whatever reason, when it's you, man, I'm like, hey, leave those autograph seekers alone. But as far as people doing interviews, hey, you reap what you sow, Brent.
Yeah, the reason you feel that way is because I'm the one writing the checks. That's probably it. The thing that we talked about this, we had a conversation about it, and it's just, for me, it's threefold. And we equated this a little bit with whether it's Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, anybody else in small town Jacksonville. I know a lot of folks don't ask to be stars and be coveted, but the bottom line is you can't have it both ways. You can't turn it on and turn it off. Or at least you can't be the one controlling that. You can't tell us or whoever when this is an okay topic to talk about and this is not. Like, this isn't okay to ask for my interview and this is, or autograph, and this is not. Now, there's a fine line in there that sometimes there's a line that gets crossed. And Casey would even admit that and say, all right, that's a little sketchy. That's suspect. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that, whatever else. And so there is a line in that. But I just don't think you can decide when you want to be a star and when you don't want to be a star. Like, you're a star, and that's the nature of our world now, and you're in it. And you benefit a lot from that. And unfortunately, fortunately, you can control a lot, but unfortunately, you can't control it all. So I think, again, you handle this with, I'm just not going to sign today, right? Instead of that. Like, it's the way you handle it. There's one other element from a fan perspective that I often remind people, because, Austin, you've lived it, you've seen it up close, whoever it is, in your current walk of life or with the teams that you were on, because you played with some star players, right? Mm-hmm. And it is nonstop for them. And I've seen this up close. It is nonstop. And so I do have some patience, if you will, for people that have a bad moment or have a bad day. Because you can't expect also that everybody's always going to be in this glorious, great mood and you have no idea what just happened, what phone call they just got, whatever happened, they got denied for a movie role or they're about to get cut or whoever it is. And so there's still a human element to that we all don't have great days. And when you ask us a certain question on Monday versus Thursday, it might be answered in a different tone. So I think like I said in the same conversation, you give that to me 2 or 3 times, I think I know you, right? Like, I think I got you. And not got you, but I think I get you, and that's kind of who you are. But I see that a lot, right? I think people have experiences that are bad with celebrities or stars, and if it's a one-time deal, I'm just like, man, I don't think that's right to just go judge somebody on that's who they are, because that might have just been a bad moment.
Yeah, and listen, everybody can sit here and say, "Oh man, I wish I was famous. I wish I was this millionaire and had all the fame and all the attention." And then you actually walk in those shoes a little bit, man. And like, listen, I've never reached an echelon of like a Maurice Jones-Drew. Like when we would go out, obviously we would clamor to him, right? Like I've seen it firsthand. And I've told this story before, a couple of years ago when I was in the middle of Iowa because our flight got diverted and we had to drive from Iowa to Wisconsin to meet my son for Christmas. And I'm driving from Iowa and we're in the Des Moines airport. And I had 2 random people come up to me and ask for my picture because they knew me from the UFC. And my son went up to me. He's like, "Don't you ever get sick and tired of that? We're in the middle of nowhere in Iowa and people know who you are. Like, how come you're so nice to them?" And he asked me, like, "How are you so nice to them?" I simply told him, like, Rones, like this is a privilege, man. Like people recognize who I am in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. Like that's pretty cool. You know what? And they were respectful. They were nice. They were kind of hesitant, but I kind of invited them over and everything. Like it's okay to be nice to those people because it takes you what, 10, 20 seconds to do that. And then you go on with your life. Like if that's the most stressful part of your day right there is that interaction, well then guess what? You're probably living a pretty damn good life. What I don't envy is the people that can't go outside and, there's paparazzi in their face, that they're getting bombarded in the bathroom. Like that's no way to live, man. Like I feel like I'm right in this sweet spot. Like maybe, every once in a while, once in a blue moon, someone will recognize me and it's all good, man. And then whatever you want to do, let's do. But like, I can still go out to Publix. I can still go out to whatever and, whatever. It's just me. So I'm very thankful for that, Brent, because I'm not going to say like stardom doesn't scare me or anything, but like it does scare me when you can't even walk outside and without getting bombarded. Like that sucks.
I think a lot of people, you said at the beginning, people say, "Yeah, I want that life." I don't think you want that life.
Nope.
I really don't. Like there are times that you want, but again, you can't always turn it off and on. You want their good moments, you want the fun moments, you want their checkbook, but you just don't. You don't want. That is not an enviable life, in my opinion. I equated it to even being a high recruit. I think when we were having this conversation, Casey, it's like, that 5-star kid, by the time he's 17, he's entered his like December of his junior year, he's over it. Mm-hmm. Like it was cool. It was cute. Mom and dads are jealous. Oh man, I wish it was like that kid. Like they're over it. It ain't that fun after a while. So like, again, like people be like, "Oh, I wish I did." Yeah, you do sometimes. Is my point there. Yeah. I don't. It's the same thing that win the lottery, man. Like, because I'm not winning the lottery and then just going to hide out. All right, but I do think you get that kind of money, you get a lot of problems come with it.
Yeah, you do, and you know me. I'm a big believer in you can't choose when to be famous, and I'm also a big believer in like any person I ask to sign something, I'm not owed. They don't owe me anything, right? They don't know me. I don't know them. I know them because of who they are, but they don't know me, right? So I understand that part. But to go back to the video, right? That video never happens. It doesn't go viral. She's like, "No, I'm not going to do it."
True.
But if you're going to come up to me, and this is where I, have gotten into arguments. If you're going to, I'm going to come up to you, right, and ask for something. I'm going to put you in an awkward spot because I'm going to come up and ask for something that you probably may or may not want to do for me knowing the situation, right? You can do it or you can't. I'm a big believer in that, right? Yes, no, I can't, sorry, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're going to start an argument with me, then here we go, right? That's where we're going at this point. And by the way, every situation is different, right? Probably not a good idea to argue with Kelsey Plum because of everything that's going to come with that. And I think the video was handled well by the person that was recording it. And yeah, but it's an interesting world. And I will say this in terms of when you can want to be famous and when not. The athletes, for whatever reason, it feels, in my experience, have a harder time deciding when they don't want to be famous and when they do. Because if you go look at any video like Austin kind of mentioned, and again, this kind of sucks to live in this way, but also you cash a very big check a lot, and I think that cashes out. But like you go look at somebody who a paparazzi video of somebody leaving dinner, right? And he picked Costner. Take Costner, for example. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I haven't done this because I have with this exact human being, but like there's people out there with stuff to get signed because for some reason they know they're there, and these the celebrities expect it at this point.
Yeah.
They don't like it, but they expect it, and they get through it, and they get in their car and they go home and they deal with that however they deal with it. But like you do that with like an athlete for the most part, and you kind of have seen how that reaction goes. And I think it's just, I don't know if there's like a training that these celebrities go through that like the athletes don't, but it's always a crazy, if you go look at like the crash out videos, it's usually athletes versus celebrities because the celebrities, like, again, they probably don't like it, but they kind of get it.
Yeah, Travis Kelce, by the way, is living in both worlds right now.
Yeah.
And I've seen stuff of him where he almost like, well, I think I saw something recently where he gets out of a car and almost he shields like Taylor Swift from the, like no one, so he's got awareness of where everything, he's probably learning it.
I think he legitimately probably did go through a class though.
But he probably did.
Yeah.
Because that's a whole new arena.
Right.
Travis Kelce was a star. But this is a whole new world that he's in right now, right? Like, he ain't that big a star. So, and then the other ones that are interesting to me is like, I saw Macaulay Culkin. Who's he with? Who's the one that he was with at the NBA game?
Brenda Song.
And then, like, to me, like, I actually feel bad in a way for a guy like Macaulay Culkin more than I, like, envy. He looks like he's almost miserable and uncomfortable to have reached the level of fame that he's reached.
Well,
and I think you told me or somebody said, like, he hardly leaves his house, right? Like, it's very rare that he even comes out. Like, that's not, like, a great quality of life. Like, I don't, Home Alone or not, I love them. But, like, it's just not a great quality of life. I'm not envious of that.
Well, the thing with that is, to me, is like Macaulay Culkin didn't make that decision. Macaulay Culkin didn't decide at 5 years old that was the life he wanted.
Well, good point, yeah.
And I think I feel that way with a lot of like the Stranger Things kids, right? I've gone through that with them a lot. Like, I understand because you didn't choose to be in this scenario. Now, granted, there are times when it's great. I'm sure there are times when Macaulay Culkin's like, hey, this ain't too bad. Like, look at the house I'm living in. I haven't done anything since I was 9.
Yeah.
But like, again, I understand that part of it because it's like, you didn't choose this. And there are, again, you could argue that with a lot of other spots too. Like, did singers really choose that or did they just have a gift? But like, there's a point where like with singers and other people, like, okay, you made a decision. I'm going to continue to do this. Macaulay Culkin, you know, the Sprouse twins, Stranger Things kids, all the child actors you want to name, like, they didn't have that choice.
Good call, Casey.
And I respect that part of it. So
what, at the end of the day, you've flirted with this, Austin, probably more than us for sure. Do you want, would you, like, where are you on the I want that life?
No, I mean, like, the life of, like, what, kind of, you're talking about, like, a Conor McGregor?
I'm trying to think of somebody, I'm trying to think of somebody reasonable, like, attainable, not like, I mean, I'll give you this. Like, do you want Travis Kelce? Because there are, like, you could have the Travis Kelce life, and then you could have the Travis Kelce with Taylor Swift life.
Brent,
like,
well,
people probably envy
like,
Travis Kelce right now, right?
No,
I bet.
But Brent, like, I told this story before. Like, the night before I got cut, I was hanging out with Travis Kelce in the club, right? Drinking off his bottle service. And I remember thinking, like, dude, like, this is like, he reminded me of a guy, like, he's a typical Wisconsin dude, like, likes to party, likes to have a good time, like, likes to talk some smack. Like, he fit right in with my friends that were visiting there with me in Kansas City. And it's wild to go from that, a guy who came right into the league, who was trying to figure things out, who probably wasn't on Andy Reid's best well wishes because he was always causing a scene in practice. And you see where he is at now, and it's just like, I would have said you're crazy back in whatever it was, 2013. If you would have told me that, you know, whatever, 10 years after that, or I'm sorry, I guess, 10 years after the fact, he'd be dating Taylor. So I'd be like, there's no way. But here we are. So no, I don't envy that. I don't want that, because what's going to happen from it, Brent? Either, okay, you live happily ever after and it's nonstop paparazzi in your face, or you eventually split up, and guess what? That's a whole nother thing right there of trying to deal with. So no, I don't envy that at all. And I think at the end of the day, you know, when it comes to paparazzi, like, I have a whole thought about that whole thing. Like, if you're going to violate someone's personal space, then guess what? Then you kind of get what you deserve. If you're in Casey's line of work and you're waiting outside of a hotel or something, then that's different. You know, like, if we're going to circle back to the whole Kelsey Plum thing, I always say this, like, if you're Kelsey Plum, then just say, no, thanks, I don't want to do it. You don't need to cut somebody down to make yourself feel taller. Right. And that's my biggest thing. And that's what I try to teach my son. Like, there's ways of saying no. There's ways of saying no, thank you. But like, you never got to cut someone down to make yourself feel better. And that's what I felt like she did when she didn't have to do it.
Casey, you've seen this world up close. Is there anyone you'd be like, man, I wish I had their life?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Like just to listen, I understand, and I hear what Austin's saying, and Austin, right, as you mentioned, kind of live in that space. And from what I know in terms of the work that I do, right, I would 100% take it, because like there is so much of the appeal of like everything's taken care of financially, right? And that would be like important to me. Like, why am I here right now? Because I got to pay my bills. You know what I mean? But if I didn't have to, would I be here right now? Sorry, Brett. Sorry, Austin. Like you guys, but you know what I mean? I'm fine.
Wednesday, we're done.
Oh well, I could maybe call in.
All right.
I can maybe call in for sure.
You can hire somebody else to produce the show.
Oh, damn right.
There we go.
Damn right. But like, and again, knowing that like, okay, every time you walk through an airport, that's probably gonna happen. But like, again, in my world, it's easy to say this. Like, okay, like Austin said, you stop, you do a few, you get on with your day, right? And I think I would easily trade that off to have the trade of I don't have to worry about, rent, bills, all of this. Also, the people that like on a certain level, right? If you're a certain level famous, like the people that I care about don't have to worry about anything either.
Yeah.
I would, man. I would trade in a heartbeat if it meant I had to sign some autographs every time I stayed in a hotel. And walked through the airport.
And here's the thing too, you guys got to remember as well. Like, you can be successful, whether it's an athlete or an actor, but still kind of have that privacy if you want it. Like we talk about Daniel Day-Lewis all the time. Like, yeah, he's a hard guy to get. You know why? Because he keeps it super low key. Like, he's not at the clubs, he's not at the bars. Like, I feel like when Travis Kelce started dating Taylor Swift, like you had to be at the U.S. Open, you had to go to the Stanley Cup, you have to do all these things in the public. But like, you don't have to do that. You can keep it low key. You don't have to live in LA. You don't have to live in New York City. You can live in the middle of nowhere, Montana, or whatever, and be happy. So, while like, yeah, I get it. Like, if you're famous and everything, that's going to attract attention. But there's certain ways to go about it to try to limit that attention.
Yeah, I would agree with you. My favorite people in the world, man, are the ones that are walking in Jack's Beach and they're walking in flip flops, and you see them, and they go by, you go by them, and somebody else would, you stop and it'd be like, hey, you know who that just was? They have like $2 billion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like, that's that would be the place to be ideal. It's like the financial freedom you just said, but nobody knows you have that kind of money. Like, I always have crazy respect for the people that have a ton of money and you wouldn't know it.
Yeah.
Right? I always think, because most people want to tell you that they got it. At the end of the day, they want that to tell you that they got it. All right, let's take a time out. Come back and talk Brian Thomas Jr. to finish up this month and week and first half of the year, and kick us off for when we come back, which we'll be talking a bunch of football and a thought or two on Austin's fight as well. Brent Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 20 work when we come back.
Are you about to graduate high school and haven't decided on what you want to do when you get done? Well, one option is to apply to become a student in the Electrical Training Alliance of Jacksonville. Their program offers structured classroom and online training, along with on-the-job training, so that you can earn while you learn. Still not convinced? The folks at ETA Jax are a tuition-free 4-year apprenticeship program. There is no tuition and no student debt. Just pay for your books and your fees. That's it. Now, speaking of pay, students, they start off making $40,000 per year, including benefits, and they graduate, get this, making over $80,000 per year, including those sought-after benefits. Now, that sounds pretty good to me, and if that sounds good to you, it should check off a lot of boxes. So head on over to etajax.org and apply by May 15th. Again, the website right here, etajax.org. Don't wait, apply today.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Save 10% off any water heater plus no trip charge. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jag Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
Grab some friends and go to a restaurant or head out for a drink and some conversation. Watch your favorite team play on the big screen. Or how about play some games? You can do all of that in one night at Best Bet.
Each location has a different vibe, its own personality, like here at the original Best Bet in Orange Park. When you walk through these doors, everybody knows your name. And here in St. Augustine, it's the newest location. Play some poker. How about the table games? And don't forget about Ace's Sports Bar and Grill. And then there's the Jacksonville location right here on Monument Road. It's the biggest poker room in the state of Florida. Maybe you'll find yourself a seat right here at the final table.
Best Bet, where you can have the best of times. And that makes you always go home a winner. Try any of the 3 locations, and you can always visit bestbetjacks.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Baseball grounds, jumbo shrimp home. I really love this. Here's what I do like about this time of year. It's kind of a quieter time. We know that. But you can talk about the jumbo shrimp and what they were doing. And we've talked a lot about them in the last week, which is well earned. David Carpenter was fantastic on the show yesterday. Go back and listen to that on our podcast.
I wouldn't know. Didn't get to ask any questions.
Well, you got to listen. You just didn't get to ask. And you can do the same thing. Hey, my buddy Calvin wants to ask, did Austin go to South Beach for the World Cup celebration? And then he said, Jabouzi performed. And I was like, I doubt he went to Jabouzi.
How about Shabuzi?
I'm sorry. He said Jabouzi. Shabouzi performed, and I know Shabouzi. Yeah. He's like, did he go say Shabouzi? I was like, I doubt Austin went to Shabouzi.
No, definitely missed out, unfortunately, on the Shabouzi concert. I think I've been quoted before on the show saying that the famous song, the Here Comes the Toot, whatever,
Yeah.
That's the Once again, I'm sure he's a talented artist. That sounds like that was put through AI, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the most AI country song of all time. Sorry, Casey. I know it's probably one of your boys.
I saw Shabuzi one time. Saw him once.
He seems like a good dude.
He was the opener for Jelly Roll. Sure. How you like that?
That's
real life. I'm not even kidding.
He's got a catchy way about his songs. I'll tell you that, whether you like it or not. They're kind of catchy. Hey, let's speaking of catchy, how about
oh, that's terrible.
It worked.
No, it didn't.
I mean, it works. Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr., let's get him. A little conversation about him. Daniel Griffiths brings this to the table today. By the way, we're also going to give Daniel Griffiths a little bit of a break until we come back. But actionsportsjacks.com, you can find this Brian Thomas Jr. article. And here's the deal. So much talk about Travis Hunter. This is what makes... If you think about the first half of the year, the regime change, Travis Hunter, and really the current player of the Jag that's been talked about the most, even more than Trevor Lawrence, is Brian Thomas Jr. And, well, this is why. Now what gives you the excitement of when we come back and hit camp is Austin getting to see these two guys on the field with Trevor Lawrence throwing them passes and how that impacts his football team.
No, without a doubt. I mean, obviously these numbers speak for themselves. Kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start, but then Trevor Lawrence goes down. Doug Peterson didn't have really any answers on offense. They used Brian Thomas Jr., and lo and behold, great things happen. It's crazy because I think the personality, I think the emergence now of Travis Hunter, like this guy is flying underneath the radar. But then you have like fantasy experts saying, yeah, this guy's gonna be a top 5 wide receiver. I'm going to be honest, man. I don't know what to make of Brian Thomas Jr. this year in terms of, and I get it, Brent, it's just fantasy football, right? But this can be used as just in general. Like, is he going to put up the numbers like we think he's going to put up again? Does Travis Hunter eat into that? I'm like, if we're talking fantasy football, like, I mean, is this guy going to be a surefire first-round pick and get the value from that?
Yeah, I would say I'd bet against that. And I hope he's not listening because it's not anything to do with his skill set. I think in many respects, Brian Thomas Jr. can be a better receiver in the National Football League in year 2, but his fantasy football numbers won't look it. And exactly for what you just said, also the ability for them to run the ball, hopefully, because they want to run the ball. They really force-fed him in the last 5 or 6 games. And I wouldn't say to inflate his numbers, but because they had to, much like they did with Evan Ingram down the stretch of the previous season where he had 114 catches. Nobody went into last year saying Evan Ingram was going to catch 114 passes. So I don't think we can count on the numbers to be as good. I mean, 10 touchdowns, man, it's hard to do. Really hard to do.
I guess here's my argument with it, Brent, because like this... I don't want to say this reminds me because it's a different scenario, but if you look at last year when you had Justin Jefferson, right? And like arguably the best wide receiver in the league, but you also had Jordan Addison. You had, a quarterback that was, in Sam Darnold, Casey's dude, but let's be honest, no one really expected Sam Darnold to do anything. So like Jefferson fell a little bit because of those things. Well, spoiler alert, he put up, I think he was the wide receiver 1 in terms of fantasy production. Right. So I wonder, like, if we're overthinking everything in terms of, okay, well, yeah, Travis Hunter. Yep. They can run the football a little more, but it's still Brian Thomas Jr. It's still a very skilled wide receiver who's, scratching the surface of what he's capable of. So, like, who's to say, like, he's not going to come out this next season, Brent, and even have more touchdowns, even put up bigger plays just because we haven't even seen the best Brian Thomas Jr. yet.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna say this, and I want you guys both to answer it. Do you mind putting that graphic back up? Is that easy to do? Because I'm going to defend now picking them in the first round and kind of go against what I just said in terms of, hey, we shouldn't expect the lofty numbers. Because if you look at this, here's what I would say: 25% target share, 18th among NFL wide receivers. You think that goes up or down, guys? 25% target share. Do you think he's going to get that again?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly do, because
1 of every 4 passes going to Brian Thomas Jr.
Absolutely.
I'd say I agree with you. Yeah, maybe more.
Even 1 of every 3, honestly. Yeah.
He's only 18th there among NFL wide receivers. Not a lot of receivers in the league, so that's not bad. 29.3% first read rate, which means, and that's a Trevor thing. People have been on that. It's like, hey, the first option he might throw to more often than not. I think that's probably a quarterback thing as well. But, well, I would suspect Austin, same thing, about the same, right? Like, hey, he's going to be our first option on these plays.
Yeah, absolutely. The way, I mean, once again, just going off of Liam Cohen's word, which I'll take for it. He said he's going to find all different ways to get him the ball. So I'm going to take him at his word for that. Yeah, he's going to have a great first read rate.
And I want to skip to the last one here. 30% of open targets deemed uncatchable. And what that means is that he was open and they didn't get it to him. Well, that probably impacted maybe some by Trevor, because the Houston game comes to mind. Had him deep a couple times, missed him. But a lot of it was also because Trevor wasn't there and they were playing with backup quarterbacks. So I actually think it's this one right here that says, wait a minute, there's 30% more out there missing last year. I mean, even if you get a little bit of that, Austin, you're going to probably fill the bucket some for you fantasy football owners.
Yeah, without a doubt. And keep in mind, in terms of what we're talking about in terms of these receptions here, like, yes, you can put Brian Thomas Jr. in the slot, run these bubble screens, get him in space, let him do his thing. This guy is also a deep threat, right? And if we're talking about, you're taking 1 to 2 to 3 deep shots a game, and I'm saying those go routes, he's going to catch some of them. He's going to have that, Deshaun Jackson type, long ball every once in a while. So I think that too, you got to keep in mind if you're concerned about his fantasy numbers.
Yeah, so I think there's plenty of evidence here that he could have as equal, if not better, year than last year. And I will say one other thing you don't see there. The Jags, I believe, will run more plays. If they can get 3rd and 1 and keep the chains moving a little bit more, they'll run more plays. Now, the backside of that is they do want to run more, and hopefully they'll be in the lead to be able to run more, and they don't have to pass as much chasing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that balances out in some way, shape, or form. But there are other things here in play that you can coexist and still put up good numbers with Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. Hey, before we get out of here, man, you're, I think would be 2 weeks away from the fight.
2 weeks.
So give us an update and how you feeling, how you tracking, how big of a fight this one is coming up in Nashville, Tennessee on July 12th.
Yeah, everything's tracking well. Training camp has been nothing short of amazing. The biggest part of that being healthy, right? And body feels great. Mind is feeling great. We talked about it a little bit on the show where this is definitely more of like how do I put it? Like a mental reconfiguration in terms of how I approach fighting and everything. And I think you're going to see that pay off, in 2 weeks here. And actually, I did an interview a couple days ago with an MMA website, and they asked me, like, hey, do you feel added pressure now, right? Because UFC heavyweights are getting cut all the time. If you go on a little bit of a losing streak, that could violate your contract and all this stuff. And, obviously me, I don't do any research in terms of doing interviews. I just kind of answer them spontaneously. And I was even surprised at my answer, but I meant it. I think after my last fight of everything that went down, right? Obviously disappointed, had him in the first round, just fought without my, above myself in the second round, get clipped. But then after that, I go back home to Wisconsin, take care of my stepfather and everything. And it really put things in perspective in terms of what I feel like my life's about and what my priorities are. MMA is something that I do. I used to think it's something who I was. I used to think that MMA defined me. I used to think like being a UFC fighter, like that's who I am. That's what I have to dedicate my most time to. And don't get it wrong. It's a lot of dedication. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of energy. But I think along those lines, sometimes I kind of felt like it was a burden, right? Like, oh man, I got to go train again. Oh man, I got to go get punched in the face. And like, yeah, I have fun with it, but it's tedious, right? It's stressful. It's hard. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, what am I really? I'm a father. I'm a son. I'm a friend. That's who I am. Fighting is what I do. So when you can take the, peel back the curtain, Brent, and you just take a look and say, you know what? This is what I do. This is a privilege. Like it almost like it kind of reinvigorated like my passion for the sport and what it's all about, right? So when I go in the cage in 2 weeks, like, yes, I'm going to fight like I've never fought before, and I'm going to put it on the line. But I know in the end of the day, whether my hand is raised or whether my hand is not, like, it won't define me. Like, if I win, guess what? I'm going to come back on the show. We'll talk about it for a couple minutes, and then we're back to talking about, my fantasy football draft coming up, and we're probably going to get Kyle Pitts, right? Like, that's what we're going to talk about, man, because that's what the life is. So I feel great, man. The body feels great. The mind feels great. And needless to say, I am ready for war.
That's good. That's a good place to be, and it's coming up on July 12th. Will you be an underdog in this fight?
I'm sure I will be, and thanks, Casey, for putting me up there with my real name. I'm not sure where the other name came from. I think it's still on.
You're welcome, my guy. I got you.
I think the Dejuan or Dequan or whatever is still up there.
Dejuan Lane, yep.
Yeah, the Dejuan Lane. But yeah, man, this is the guy that I'll be facing off. Obviously, you know, in terms of height, I definitely have the advantage there. He's got a decent reach for his height, but we have a great game plan. I'm not going to really provide that game plan to you right now, but I think it's a great matchup for me. I'm excited to showcase it.
All right, look forward to it. You know, the one thing I'll say, even whether it was in loss or win in the last couple of fights, I mean, even for a novice guy doesn't know much about it, you can tell you're fighting so much better in the complete fight. Like, really, I've said this many times, you're like really controlling a lot of the fights, dominating a lot of the fights. Now just got to, and some of them obviously finish with your hand up. So good luck in a couple of weeks. We'll obviously all be watching that, and then we will talk about it on the other side, and hopefully a W as we come back and reconvene on July 14th. All right, man. Have a good one.
You guys
stay away from the fireworks.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
All right.
No promises.
Casey Kurtz, thanks for hanging out with us, and who knows who's going to be in there when you come back. I mean, maybe Hamby will join us again someday. I don't know. It's going
to be me.
I don't know. But we will be back in. Again, we're excited about this. Storytellers of 904. Hopefully you can check it out. We'll come back with the show on July 14th, and we can push it a little bit more. Coming up next, Shark Bites. We've got a special 1 o'clock edition. We have the Jacksonville Armada tonight, all on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. That does not stop. We have content every day, all day at actionsportsjacks.com. Have a good 4th and a good couple weeks, everybody. We'll see you back in the middle of July. Welcome inside the Armor Guard exterior and gutter helmet showroom. There's a lot going on, like glass exteriors, replacement windows, and down there we have the retractable screens and awnings, plus hurricane protection. Let's talk more about those gutters, and to do that, we bring in Kevin. He's the owner, he's the expert. Why Gutter Helmet?
Well, Gutter Helmet's truly the only maintenance-free product. It lets the trash and debris go on the ground, the water wraps around and goes inside. Unlike filters, they sit on top of the gutters, and the trash and debris build up on top of filters, which requires maintenance. With Gutter Helmet, we're going to keep you off the ladder, the most dangerous thing in your garage. With Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. So get off the ladder and put on the helmet. Gutter Helmet.
Get a free estimate at gutterhelmetofnorthflorida.com. You can also call 904-762-7779 or visit the showroom on St. John's Bluff Road in Jacksonville.
Empower a future, inspire a dream. It's a bold but simple mission for the Jacksonville Police Athletic League known as Jax PAL. Help the next generation of kids in Jacksonville shape a brighter future. Their after-school programs, teenage leadership programs. There's community outreach.
This has been just an awesome opportunity to be out here with my colleagues and do something good for the community. It's really been an interesting opportunity to just see everybody work together in a way that we don't normally in the office.
And there's sports. There are also ways you can help the next generation with a donation of any kind. Just visit jaxpal.org to get more information. Empower a future, inspire a dream with Jax PAL.
The Fleet continues its summer swing with the Jacksonville Armada men's and women's teams finding success on the pitch so far in 2025. The girls in blue find themselves in the thick of a three-way battle for the Sunshine Conference crown with an undefeated mark at home. They wrap up the schedule with a pair of Friday night showdowns. As for the boys in blue, they remain unbeaten this summer and top the table in their conference, with crucial road games still to come down the stretch against Naples and New Orleans, after a final home game versus FC Florida. All those matches are at Edward Waters University, and you can watch them live on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
Baker's Sports. It's a hometown business filled with hometown people trying to make you feel right at home.
Chris Conley, Jacksonville University.
Walker Wright, class of 2018, West Nassau High School.
Michael Young, Fletcher High School.
Baker's Sports started in a grassroots way and now outfits much of the Southeast.
Will Olive, Mandarin High School. Go Stangs.
High school sports, travel sports, youth sports of all kinds. They are a one-stop shop carrying Nike, Adidas, Under Armour brands, and more.
Vincent Caldes, Oakleaf High School.
Tony Mazzio, Sandwood High School, class of 2002.
Samuel Coffrin, Paxton School for Advanced Studies.
Whether it's sports teams on the field or it's your team in the workplace, like our Action Sports Jacks team, and community events like the Dream 18 Golf Tournament, and many others.
Cole Tilley, Hilliard High School.
Reagan Webb, Eagles View Academy.
Look good, feel good, play good with Baker Sports. Custom sports apparel since 1997. Shop with the hometown team at bakersport.com.
Sun's out, suits out. That's right, it's summertime in Florida, which means it's time to say goodbye to bulking season and hello to shredding season. But if you're like me, you're having a hard time sculpting and shaping those final pounds. That is until I came and saw my friends over at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics. Right now, everyone is hopping on the Evolve X train, and the only destination is finding your perfect summer body. The technology uses electrical muscle stimulation and radio frequency energy to cause your muscles to contract, all while heating up those deep layers of your skin and tissue to produce collagen and reduce fat. It's like doing 1,000 sit-ups in 30 minutes. No pain, no needles, just results, right? That's right. So leave those winter layers back at the station and come look and feel your best with the team here at Ponte Vedra Vein and Aesthetics.